when we do this, yeah, you punch in the clock over there, man. When we do this stuff, when Johnny has a mic stand, when he does the Seagal style mic stand, look at these. Listen to these guys. The fucking modern lovers next door.
Perfect.
When Johnny has a mic stand, I have to turn up his gain. His gain stage changes because he's like kind of, he's got like a Play Misty for me.
I've become
kind of
more of a
It's all posture driven.
more of a kind of a Jeff Goldblum like late night. Well, I guess that is Play Misty for
That's
me.
Eastwood.
Yeah.
More like this.
Goldblum would play a good like jazz DJ.
He's kind of sexy. Hi. He's a kind of a bit in whenever he talks.
He's an amazing pianist.
I'm a bit like this. I talk a bit like
I can't do either.
I can't do it either, but it's that kind of vibe. He's like, he's kind of a bit. I'm always suggesting things.
You can't.
Okay.
I'm trying to do Jurassic Park.
Oh, I see.
You see, there's a certain. Well, I can't think of any of the lines though. This is a horrible start.
Horrible.
I thought we'd just hit the gate running here.
Hit the gate running?
Oh, see, I can't even talk.
Running? It's Mike, man. He's got such a
He's
presence.
throwing me off. He's got too much of a presence. This is a big night. We got Mike back.
Yeah.
It's all come full circle, boys.
We got the band back together. This is
almost reminds me of the Circle of Fear, which is what Don Henley makes the other guys do. Do you know about this?
No,
tell us all about it.
Pre-tour regiment.
Okay.
They sit in a circle. One guy who's not even in the fucking band plays guitar. He'll play the guitar for all the songs, and they just have to sing. There's no hiding in the Circle of Fear.
They call it the Circle of Fear?
They had Mike Wallace like 12 years ago listening in on them, just memorized these guys singing perfect harmony.
Circle of Fear.
Well, I've seen it at where they do Seven Bridges Road at the start of the dock. That's what we're talking about here?
That's probably a precursor. You got
no guitar in that song or that intro.
No.
Yeah, but they know the songs. Like, they can always play them acoustic.
Joe says, man, it's like, just because you write them doesn't mean you can play them.
Nice.
Oh, man, I'm not going to lie. We're talking about the Eagles, right?
Yeah, man. Also, this is a Wednesday episode, and I keep saying these to our premium patrons backstage. But subscribe to our Patreon. We want to buy the Doom Tour box set from David Crosby. It's $500.
It's really expensive.
Now, it's really expensive. It comes in a
It's going to be about 1 Bitcoin next month.
It comes in a cedar, a handcrafted cedar box. That no cedar. I think could be rosewood.
And he's just got some corner of his house fucking full of these things like I do Shiloh's LPs.
100%. Yeah, he's selling them out of the back of his trunk of his car. Like he's like, anyone want to buy this? It's shit. Like, no one says it's good. I can't. But it's.
I need to see it.
I need to hear it.
It looks so bad, but so good. It's about the Doom tour.
It's kind of like he's like. They're mostly it's mostly about after they play when Graham Nash has got multiple screens set up to watch Watergate and the
Is there footage
trials.
of that?
All of that stuff. You're getting it
It's all in there? Wow.
Hookers and Nixon. It's that vibe.
I heard the other day that Graham Nash has an audio book out.
Nice.
Wild Tales.
Oh, yeah.
It's him reading it, and apparently it is pure gold.
Oh, yeah.
It's just him talking, talking about all the sleazy stories and then also just worshiping David and Stephen and going on and on.
Well, those days are gone because he certainly doesn't now since David spoke publicly about his wife. That's where the breakup came, right? The schism is David's just shit on Graham Nash's new
young
bride and said she's
him
corrupting
and Neil,
him.
Man, it was both.
Yeah,
that's right.
The double kill shot.
But Graham Nash,
Days want to talk. What a piece of shit.
I know. But Graham Nash apparently, I forget what I was gonna say. He
the modern
dude,
lovers
get a beer in you, man. It's hard to watch.
It's this band. I'm having trouble not following this walking bass
I'll
line.
give a little kind of rundown to what's going on here. I'm in my studio here, but it's really just over the last couple of months turned into a jam space. And there's a room next door that never had anyone in it, and now like kind of has about 18 bands in it. So needless to say, the dream is dead. Another like scalp for the impossible way of life of being a musician, because I've just lost any solace I had.
Well, it very much an impossible way of life that like this is an example of like they used to have a keyboard player, a guitar player, and they've all left, and now it's just the drummer and bass player.
And it's we spoke to the authorities, and it's best left unsolved.
Yeah, exactly.
But also that this building's getting torn down to build condos. That's
Sounds
why I'm
like the
losing
fucking Eagles, if you ask me. You got half the kids in the band now, and
Is that how it works?
Deacon Fry is in the band.
No way. Deacon Fry.
You know what's funny? When I listened to that, you sent me that, I thought they were just calling Glenn Fry Deacon Fry. Like he was like he'd become a holy man or something.
Is he? Do you think he's named
That's
after?
what I mean. Our resident deacon over here, like he leads the prayer circle similar to the fear circle.
Yeah.
The circle of fear is like,
And then they do the circle of prayer.
and then the circle jerk.
Yeah.
It makes sense, like
100%.
that kind of regiment, making those guys like we're
Yeah.
gonna practice
Those
this,
are
and there's gonna be
they're-
no hiding. You can't turn your amp
No.
up.
That's what you're saying. Like, that's why Meisner left. He couldn't.
You could.
They were bullies. They'd bully
Couldn't
him.
hack it in the circle of fear.
I wonder. Yeah, and he wouldn't sing "Take It to the Limit." Would he live? He couldn't do it. That he just a pressure.
He didn't want to do it every
No.
night.
I think he just didn't want to. I think he just wanted to piss off.
No,
Glenn
I don't
Fry.
think so. I think he was a sensitive guy. He's more from the Poco side of things. Those guys could have been the Eagles, but didn't have the cutthroat mentality.
I want to get into that
the money-making mentality, the dollar money-making mentality that the
Right.
Eagles had.
because there's a lot been said about that over the years. That Poker were supposed to be the Eagles.
Really?
Yeah,
So
like
it's
they
not
were
just
like
my
positioned
take.
to
They
come
were
out
pre-
of
oh,
LA
they
and
were
be like that
positioned.
country rock band.
Well, I've heard
Yeah.
that interview with Timothy B. Schmidt where he's like, we were all ready to go. We had it all set to go. And then I turned on the radio and I heard, well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. And I knew it was all over. I was like, really? That's all you needed to hear to just give up
Yeah, well, I mean,
on being the
really,
biggest.
Hanley and Fry were like the avatars of like corporate mega takeovers.
yeah.
For sure.
Well, I
And
think
they first
yeah.
poached Meisner out of Poco.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Poco never had a legitimate hit till what, 1980?
No, like Rose of Cimarron. or
Well,
something.
is that a hit though?
No. I mean, I like Good Feeling to Know a lot. That's a great
They had a lot of
record.
good songs. I
Yeah.
like Poco, but they didn't really have like a big hit.
No, they didn't.
So it was
And
one
so
of those.
when
No, they didn't have
Fry
that
and-
money-making
Fry and Don
mentality.
Hanley would get together at Troubadour and like plan their.
Literally planned it out.
Takeover.
Yeah.
They're like, we got to poach Meisner.
Yeah.
And we need hits.
Yeah. Trade it.
Which brings me.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So out of all the fucking.
Yes.
Out of all, how many hits do the Eagles have?
At least
A lot, right?
two of the top
Here
selling
is
albums of
all the hits
They got two
written
of-
just by Fry and Henley.
Okay.
There's 5. The Long Run, all right. One of These Nights, probably the best on the list.
That's good.
Yeah.
Line Eyes,
Shit.
Desperado, and Tequila Sunrise.
So they didn't even write
That's
it.
man.
the only songs that those two wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a joke.
Already Gone, Jack Tempkin wrote it.
Okay.
Best of My Love, South There, and then I think Henley and Fry probably finished the lyrics.
Yeah.
That's the story of this band. Is they would take a song idea,
Yeah.
song is pretty much half over done,
Yeah.
and they just write the lyrics and get the credit. Peaceful Easy Feeling, Jack Tempkin. Take
Jackson
It Easy,
Brown, too,
Jackson
right?
Brown.
Yeah.
Witchy Woman, Bernie Leadon.
Yeah. Leading in the South.
Take It to the Limit, Meisner. Hotel California and Victim of Love, Don Feldner.
Incredible.
And had them ripped from him.
yeah.
He's very vocal about
Very
that.
vocal about
Here's
it.
Don Hanley on Victim of Love. Letting Feldner sing Victim of Love would have been the equivalent to having Hanley play lead guitar on Hotel California.
Wow. They needed his voice.
Well, I heard Glenn Fry say, he's like, you know what? He's like, he's like, you know what? We could. He's like, when you got Henley,
Yeah.
when you got a voice like that in your band, wouldn't you do the same thing?
Yeah.
If you had Don Henley.
Yeah.
The list
It's
goes on,
'cause
boys.
he recorded the fucking vocal.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Felder.
Feldner went out for lunch with
And
his
then he went out
manager,
for
came
lunch,
back, and it was
came out
done.
that it was Henley, and it was like a different key or something. They're like, it's over.
Yeah.
New
It's
Kid
over.
in Town, South there.
Glenn
Life in
Fry
the
just
City.
shoved him up against the wall, and he's like,
Yeah.
fucking
Like
forget
proper
about it.
like quarterback
Piece of shit.
vibe.
Yeah, just shove him.
Linebacker.
Into the locker.
Yeah,
Fucking
they have
forget it,
lockers
you
put
piece
in.
of Shit.
They have lockers put in to do that
Wedgie.
with. Yeah, gave him a wedgie, put his fucking head down the toilet.
Yeah.
That
Fucking
stuff.
forget it, you shithead.
Heartache Tonight, Bob Seger and JD Salinger.
What?
Wow, Seeger.
And Bob Seger wrote the fucking chorus over the phone. He just heard it. He's like, here's the chorus. I'll give it to you guys.
I
Holy
love that.
shit, that makes a lot of sense because
Yeah.
that's easily like the best one. I
And
think.
then Life in the Fast Lane in the City, Walsh, of course.
Yeah, but that's Walsh. Oh, that's my kind of shit, man.
Yeah.
That's where
You
like,
get Walsh goes play some solo gigs, and you know what Don Henley comes out and says? He's like, "Accept no substitutes."
Incredible. You know, Lion Eyes, I was listening to it on the way over here, and I was thinking, like, it's got a real kind of crazy incel energy. It's like, I feel like, because I was listening to it, and I used to think that Disco Strangler was the cokiest song of all time. And I think
hard to argue that.
I think it's hard to argue with that. But Lion Eyes is interesting because it's the story of a hot woman who's stuck with like an older, like kind of rich dude who is wanting to go across town to like screw some young guy. And like at first they're kind of saying
presumably
like,
Glenn Fry himself.
well, this is where it gets interesting for me because I think that Glenn Fry and Don Henley, because they wrote it together, are all of the people in the song.
I see.
They are the fat old guy with loads of money who's like, I deserve a babe for a wife, and like she's cheating on me. They're also they're so sociopathic that they're also the young guy who's like, yeah, I fuck girls. They come over to me, but they're also the girl who's like, I do whatever I want. I'm the kind of scoundrel. I think that they wrote it from, they're so into themselves, they're feeling themselves so much that if you actually listen to the song, it makes no sense. They are all the characters in the song. You know, and it won a Grammy for the best song of the year. Can you believe that? Lion Eyes.
Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you right now, I was unable to do any audio research for this podcast because I was hanging out last night with Alex and I was like, you know, we're having a beer and I said, I'll just throw on this Eagles Greatest Hits on Spotify. I don't own any of their albums, obviously.
I do.
And I tell you what,
I have them all.
I
Actually.
couldn't get through it, man. I could not, the first half of it.
We're talking about the Eagles' greatest hits.
70, what is it?
71 to 75. So no, like the record that came out like the week after.
And then my
Hotel
dongle
California.
started fucking up.
Oh,
and I just
yeah.
figured, like, you know, my phone had an aversion to
Oh, your
Eagles
phone
and
didn't
wouldn't
want
let
it.
it play. So I was like, I heard all this fucking shit before. Michael covered this stuff.
Yeah, Mike's got
I've
it.
been knee deep all day at work in the
Yeah.
Eagles.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
I like the long
Maybe if-
run.
They're kind of
It's probably my favorite
I
album.
kind of think of them a little bit philosophically as like a kind of doomsday project.
Psychotically, for sure.
Sexually, philosophically, psychotically. Because you can imagine them being like, with Geffen, discussing like the acquisition of music, like how they're going to acquire it, like kind of like corporate takeover, and being like filled with that kind of like, it's like proto Wall Street energy. It's like Michael Douglas.
It's kind of brilliant.
It
You
is.
know, like you
I'm
could
being
think of
like-
them in the early 70s just hanging out in LA, be like, how do we make it big?
yeah,
Let's just get all these songwriters.
yeah, to do it for us.
Like,
And they're
here's
also like,
Fry's version
Yeah.
of Take It Easy.
yeah,
I was living in the same apartment building as Jackson Browne in Echo Park. I had heard an early version of Take It Easy and asked him about it. It's pretty
yeah,
simple enough.
Yeah.
Here's Brown's take on the whole thing. Glenn happened to come by to say hi, and I showed him the beginning of that song. And he asked if I was going to put it on my record, and I said it wouldn't be ready in time. And he said, well, we'll put it on. We'll do it, because he liked it. But it wasn't finished, and he kept after me to finish it, and finally offered to finish it himself.
insane.
After a couple times when I declined to have him finish my song, I said, all right, this is ridiculous. Go ahead and finish the damn song.
Wow. It's interesting because also the name itself, it's symbolic. It's like,
I was tripping out. I love this.
it's just like, it started with the Birds. Let's fucking finish this with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of got like It's kind of got like a black pill vibe where it's like we're gonna go out and we're gonna take as many people with us as we can.
Yeah.
It's got a Mandalay Bay energy. It's got a kind of like I'm gonna get on that rooftop and I'm gonna just take as many people with me. That's the only option. And they destroyed as much music as they possibly could by getting as rich as they could. They weren't even just satisfied being successful. They had to take the soul out of that scene.
Well, that was the only way to get like all the other people to get into it. You know what I mean? There's this whole other group of people that weren't into the whole hippie summer of love shit.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is, you know what I mean, too flowery for me.
Or like too political or something.
And there was a lot of money there.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we just have to take away all the soul, all the brains out of the lyrics, most of the good production, any kind of groove whatsoever.
Kind of make it comfortable.
Biggest selling album all time.
Well, 2 of the top 3 of all time. Hotel California is number 3.
I thought this one was higher.
Yeah, this
For
is
a
number
long time,
1.
I think it was.
It's
No,
like
Thriller's still number 1.
Okay, well we're
not talking.
Yeah,
we're
come
talking like 2 of the top 5 selling records of all time.
Fucking Don Henley's the second richest drummer of all time, next to Ringo.
Interesting.
I would have thought richer, honestly.
And he's still out there. He's like he heads the music union.
Oh yeah,
He's out there lobbying all the time
For
to
himself.
Congress for himself to get more money.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because as you know, you can go on YouTube.
What are you doing, Johnny?
What the? Okay.
It's just weird.
But you can't play-
These guys. I think we've turned these guys. They're doing folk next door now.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds like Guinevere.
But yeah, if you have a YouTube channel, you can't play the Eagles.
No.
Even though that YouTube channel all the revenue goes to the Eagles.
Yeah, you can't play it. He's on his
insane.
computer 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
waiting, kind of like a spy for like. He's just going through things that are hashtags for the Eagles, shutting stuff down himself.
Which funny,
Team
a
of
guy
lawyers.
so just like going that route made his whole career with working with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's a
You know what blew my mind is like, what's that? What his first signal that he did?
Boys of Summer.
Yeah.
Mike Campbell.
Mike Campbell fucking wrote that song.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Tom Petty wouldn't do it. You know, like how much fear there must be. I've seen an interview with Mike Campbell talking about that song, and he says, I had this song. This is how this shit works. He said, I had this song, and I played it to Tom, because I was messing around with drum machines and stuff. It's like kind of Dave Stewart, mid-'80s. I got a Lynn drum. I'm doing this thing. Been hanging out with Jeff Lynne. You know, it's like that kind of vibe. And I had this song, Boys of Summer, and I played it for Tom.
Is Jeff Lynne, is the Lynne drum named
No,
after
it's
Jeff
not.
Lynne?
But it's like, but he's kind of like, no, but he's like, no. But you know, Keltner
Strange
played the
coincidence,
samples
though, 'cause-
on the Lynn drum.
Also a bit,
Keltner, it's Keltner's snare.
should be called the Jeff Lynne drum.
Yeah, but it's
basically.
Keltner's snare. Like literally. Like he was like agreed.
The most
like, just like,
perfect
agreed.
crack.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
agreed that he had the best.
Wonder
like,
what he
kind
got
of-
paid to do that.
So, you know, Campbell's saying like he's got his song and he plays it to Tom, and Tom's like working on like I think like Full Moon Fever at the time. Does that make sense? That track?
Not a lot of
it
good
would have been
songs
it
on
would
it.
have been
Earlier?
the time I think they were doing the Alice in Wonderland video song.
Or Into the Great Wide Open.
No.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
way before that.
The Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I don't know
one
one.
is.
Don't come around here no more.
because it's got the same.
Oh,
like,
it's Dave Stewart era.
yeah.
Okay. Is that the Alice in Wonderland one? I'm thinking of the Johnny Depp one. Johnny Depp's
What's
in that one.
Two gunslingers?
No, that's Wildflowers. Or
That's
something.
90s
No,
territory.
that's like
We're talking
80s.
like 84, 85.
84. So it's like
Two
the one.
gunslingers are the whatever.
Yeah, that's like 91.
Oh yeah, that's I think
93
that's
maybe.
The one he did with you know, the most famous guy did all that shit. Rick Rubin.
Oh yeah.
Two Gunslingers is on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the one Into Great Wide Open one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's
And
get,
that's when
we
Stan
got to get
Lynch
knee
got
deep
back
in
in.
fucking Don Henley
Well, listen.
using people to
So-
further his career.
So Mike Campbell plays this song for Tom. Tom's like not into it, but he's not like not into it. He's just like, I write the songs, man. So but like some manager guy or like Geffen's probably around. I mean, he's a major part in this, like the money making machine, the money making mentality. So he hears it and he's like, "You should play this for Don." Because like they're known
Tom's
as the guys. They're known as the guys who like that's what they do. They're like they've got it's kind of like a scouting system.
Play this for Don. It's only half done, but he'll take it.
He'll finish it. And it'll be a fucking hit.
They've kind of got a scout, yeah, and he won't give you anything. He's kind of got a scouting system around, you know,
Right.
like you know, so like he's got people everywhere, listen, ears
Operatives.
everywhere, operatives, yeah, kind of operatives for sure,
Yeah.
And Mike Campbell played him the song, totally the same situation, half finished, half baked. Don says, "I'll take it from here." Song goes to number 1 immediately, and Mike Campbell said they were working on a record, the Heartbreakers, and they went into the car to like listen to like the mixes that they were working on, you know, to see the sound on it. It's like him and Tom was sat in the car and turned on the tape machine, but like it was on the radio and that song was playing, and Mike Campbell had spent so much time trying to not get Tom Petty to hear it because he was so scared that Tom Petty was going to freak out and be like, "You fucking gave this song to Don Henley and it's number 1."
Yeah.
And apparently like the song came on and like Tom kind of perks up and is like, "I know this song," and just looks at him and is like, "Good job, man. Good job." And Mike Campbell was talking as if this was like nice of them, like everyone was being nice to him, like that his like fear of both Don Henley and Tom Petty was like not part of the story. It was just like, that's why Tom's such a great guy. Like he like said it was okay that I gave
3
it to
years
Don.
later, he does a solo album.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's they're you know, these guys are cutthroat. I mean, that's Don Henley post, you know, 16-year-old girls ODing in his bathtub. That's kind of where he was at that time.
Well, the Eagles were one of the top party bands of all time, and Henley famously said here in this interview I read from him from 2016 or something, which was very that they kind of asked him, you know, where they rank in the debauchery
Category of kind of like top trumps.
And some of the language here is great. Henley decrees contemporary pop culture for its crassness, but agrees the Eagles were no angels. Would he place them above Fleetwood Mac in the bad behavior Super League?
like the Sleaze Super League.
No, he says, laughing. We didn't sleep with each other. Zeppelin would be right up there, and The Who and the Stones. So would we. But I've never tried to chart it out like that. Obviously, we weren't as bad as our reputations because we're all still alive.
Interesting. It is
I
true.
think you think Joe Walsh out of that band is pretty clean cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the rest of them are pretty like kind of corporate elite kind of vibe. I see you brought that book about
Aside.
you know, the
All
financial.
all the devils are here.
Yeah, I wonder how much they feature in that. Geffen
Very
is,
similar.
I mean, Geffen has like, I think like, if you look at like modern art acquisitions and like the sale of modern art, like he's owned at some point like 7 of the top 10 selling paintings of the last 80 years. Like Jackson Pollock's number 5, things like that. Like it's like bought by David Geffen for $60 million in like 1968, sold by him for like $120 million in 1972. Like he's like an art guy, like to hoard and store his wealth in. Like the guy is like a culture guru, and that's kind of what the Eagles are. Is like, you know, he's paying all this money to David Crosby. He's giving him like $1 million, being like, do as much coke as you want, get, you know, all your friends to play on this shitty record where you haven't even got any lyrics. It'll pay dividends because it looks good, the culture's good, it's zeitgeisty. And I think he's the driver. He sees it in like the Eagles. He's like, there's the end game is a band that is going to just like rip the soul out of all this stuff and take it to like, you know, people listening to that shit in like Vietnam and thinking that it's all fine.
Well, even if he gave them like $10 million to make 10 piece of shit albums,
yeah,
he's banking on the fact that Mike Campbell's going to write one song that's going to make them like 80 million.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all good. If the bar bill's, you know, half the price of the studio, then there you go.
Where'd they come from? Like the guys, what scene?
Do you
were
know
they
what
in?
the Eagles were called before they were called the Eagles?
I don't know, when did Laura Nyro's band?
The Shilohs.
As well as Graham Parsons'
Yeah,
band?
they were also called the
I thought they were
Shilohs.
just called Eagle.
That's cool,
I thought
too.
they were also called the Shilohs.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I remember finding this out and being really upset.
I know
Yeah,
that Don Feldner played in the same band back in somewhere in Florida with Steven Stills.
Gainesville's where Petty's from.
Yeah.
So Stills...
Feldner taught Petty.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's the Henley dimension becomes more interesting there with Petty.
Yes.
Maybe there was a competitive
Stills,
scene.
that's not surprising because he kind of
Military family.
He dips his toes into every scene there is.
Stills,
He famously, Graham Nash famously said, the thing with Steven was, if there was a jam happening, he'd show up with his guitar out of nowhere. It could be in the middle of the desert. If there was a blues jam happening, there would come Steven popping out with his guitar. That's what he said.
Graham Nash's vibe's so cool,
That's why
man.
he's
He just
got,
kind of
so-
knows it's crazy, but he's like,
I don't think he does.
You don't
he's
think
totally
so?
fucking out to lunch.
I think he knows the whole thing's crazy. He's been in the Hollies, like he's just like, I'll go along with this shit, but like,
He's talking about apparently in this audio
He's
book.
kind of like the cult victim. Like he just got
True,
I think he
yeah,
got
he has a-
swept up by it all.
He has a
He's
little
just
bit of a- yeah.
that whole thing could have done no wrong to that guy.
yeah. Well, I've often said like that, when he knocked on the door and Stills and Crosby are jamming, in a parallel universe, I'd answer it and just be like, Graham, it's not worth it, man. Don't go into Mama Cass's house.
You mean that was where before he walked in to live the song Triad, the
Yeah,
three of them?
Exactly. Yeah. Crosby blocked me for asking him if the song was about the three of them on Twitter.
Yeah.
I asked if Triad was about him, Stills, and Nash.
Oh,
I saw some guys.
In the Nash audiobook, apparently he said he talks a lot about David Crosby's crack and cocaine addiction
Yeah.
and how he kind of loved him out of it.
Well, he
and
had
all
the
that.
wisdom to say, wearing a kind of Dennis Hopper style gas mask and like freebasing.
After about 10 years
to say,
where they would just
David,
turn
enough's enough.
they would just apparently David would go into the fucking
wisdom.
bathroom. Apparently, I just had a conversation. He'd go into the bathroom like to freebase every 10 minutes during like a session.
Yeah.
And then he'd have like boils on his face and shit. And he's like, we just all turn a blind eye. And then finally in the 80s, he had the foresight
The
to tell
wisdom
him.
Yeah.
after he'd gone to jail
apparently
for 5
the music
years.
just made up for it.
Yeah. But he said, David had a real problem. He said, I did coke from about 1967 to 1989, but I was never addicted.
Nice.
That's what he said. I was never addicted.
Fuck yeah.
21 years, never addicted.
I know in Vancouver where there's a copy, a used copy of Wild Tales.
Oh, nice.
'Cause I
Well,
saw
I got to
it.
get the audiobook. Apparently, we could
Yeah.
just fast forward to any chunk, and it'd be like a better soundbite than we ever do.
Nice. We can start using them.
We should just start using them.
Yeah. That's what we should do. Where do they come from, though? Like, do you know, like, where's, like, because we've been breaking it down, Mike, a lot. Like where, like, we've kind of figured out that there's, like, in Laurel Canyon at the time, you've got the kind of vampire scene, which is, like, the whiskey. It's like Jim Morrison, kind of clown band kind of stuff. Alice Cooper. John Phillips is kind of, and then, like, Crosby moves over to the folk scene, which is more like where Neil Joni, more candles in the afternoon and kind of cats and like Persian rugs and stuff. Where I don't know where Glenn and Don fit into the scene.
I don't know where they're from, but they're
where did
definitely
they land?
bona fide pirates
Okay.
posing as pilgrims.
Interesting.
Right. But I
Yeah.
think they're also like they took what the vampires started
Right.
and then just totally drove it into the fucking ground. You know what I mean?
But did they play in bands prior to the Eagles? Like,
Well, Bernie
did they-
Leadon and
Yeah.
Fellner both played in the same band with Stills
They're-
back in Florida.
they-
So I know those guys are from
Oh.
down there.
they're kind of gator music.
One
Kind
could
of got
only
an
hope.
alligator vibe.
Well, Henley, I was reading today, he said, what set them apart from these other kind of wussy groups
Yeah, exactly.
was that they were tough.
Tough.
like kind of
Steel.
working class
Right.
towns,
Communities, yeah.
working class communities,
They had
working class
steel.
families. So he's like, we were tough motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I could see that. I
Yeah.
buy that.
I wouldn't want to run into either of those guys in a dark alley.
Anybody that can make Joe Walsh sit down in the circle of fear has got to
Yeah.
be a tough, driven
100%.
SOB.
He didn't even know where the fuck he was at that time. Circle of Fear.
Also, like,
He's
that's
in a hot air
In my
balloon,
mind,
dude.
in my
He's an
mind, I
hot
still
air
don't
balloon.
acknowledge
He's
that
just
Joe
doing,
Walsh
He's
was an
just
eagle.
doing one of these.
It's funny with Joe Walsh. I love in the
Anybody watching, I'm
Yeah.
pretending like I'm singing a fifth harmony part to Seven
Yeah.
Bridges Road, but I'm actually not singing.
but they got him in
Great podcast. Podcast.
Podcat.
Glenn Fry's like, not sure I heard that fifth part
Yeah.
there, Joe.
I don't know, man. I think that like I love
Shoves him into the locker.
I don't think Joe would stand for it. I think that they like I remember in the documentary thinking it was amazing. Like they're like kind of they almost like are like coaches of the band because they're like
Well, they're corporate owners of the band.
exactly.
And Walsh and Timothy aren't.
No, I
they're
know.
basically hired guns.
No,
they,
I
they
know.
have no stake in the
No.
band whatsoever.
Do you think they think of themselves more as a band or a corporation?
A corporation.
100%.
Like, luckily, Feldner was
He
part
got
owner,
in
so
early.
he filed for whatever a divorce.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I'd just like to let everybody listening know that we all knew this was coming because all I've been talking about is how much I hate the fucking Eagles and I didn't want to do an Eagles podcast. So I'm just sitting back watching the show here.
This is where it
Get
I have
ends.
to
drunk.
though.
drink
Get
my
drunk
way
and-
out of this one.
Okay.
This is where it ends. It has to end here. But I think that that's interesting because with regards to like their acquisition, it's kind of like sports
That's
a
what
bit
it
too.
is.
Well,
And
Henley-
no, the acquisition of Joe Walsh in the documentary is really interesting because they're like, I was surprised. He's the only guy.
They're
that-
more like a sports franchise.
they are a sports franchise. They are a franchise.
Who's
They
the
have-
general manager and
Well,
who's the
it's
coach?
Geffen is the owner.
You could say Geffen's the owner, and the managers are Fry and Henley.
100%. And
They
you
see
know,
a burgeoning scene. Okay,
Yeah.
Meisner, let's poach him.
Yeah.
Leadon, Breeder Brothers, let's poach him.
Yeah.
Now we want to go a different direction. Feldner's kind of a hard rock guitar player.
Get
We'll
Souther
get him.
out. Souther goes, he's pussy. These guys are pussies. We're going hard rock. It's like knowing that like, it's kind of like with the David Bowie thing where he was like doing Hunky Dory because we did this like, I think it's probably going to come out after this one. But so, okay, Hunky Dory's coming up, guys. But he's like doing Hunky Dory, but he's already making moves to be like, I need to go.
Well, it's like
Ronson.
drafting a team,
Like
drafting
I need a
players.
glam rock band. I'm gonna do Ziggy. I'm finishing this off, but I already know that like folk's done, so I need to switch gears. So like with Joe Walsh, they're already making moves. They're like hard rock's coming. Like we've destroyed folk. Now we're gonna take out like James Gang, ZZ Top. We're gonna fuck that scene up too.
Yeah.
Because
They're kind of like the Miami Heat that destroyed basketball in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
or
Yeah,
like
it's
maybe
true.
like the Nets are doing it right now.
I stopped following basketball
Right on.
after Miami.
Yeah,
But
They're all doing it now.
they're all doing it, dude. What about the Arizona Coyotes?
And for everybody listening,
Oh,
you
fuck.
should know that the three of us used to have a sports podcast
100%.
called High Roller Radio,
I actually-
where instead of saying we were going to talk about music and then not talking about it, we would say we were going to talk about sports and then we'd talk about music.
It's true. That being said, I'm willing to. I don't think people know this listening, but I actually consider this a sports podcast.
Still,
A lot of people don't know.
well, it's
that.
for sport.
well,
Yeah.
aren't we charting in the Canadian sports podcast?
Sports commentary.
yeah,
Yeah.
sports commentary. It's like
Yeah.
we're top 30 or something.
Well,
like
I
that.
mean, Jay is a big
and
fan.
climbing.
Jay,
Do you know
from-
Jay Onright is a big fan of our podcast?
Jay who?
Jay and Dan on TSN.
Well, really?
It's just Jay, actually.
Well, Dan got canned, but Jay follows us. We
big
messaged
fan, major
Nice.
player in our.
thinking about
community.
getting him on to talk about Team 1040, dude.
That's some local shit that no one's going to understand. And
No
we're
one's gonna
like
want to-
number 6 podcast in the UK.
The UK, so we can't talk hockey anymore.
No.
Unless it's field hockey.
Field hockey, yeah. Commonwealth.
You know anything
sports.
about field hockey, Mike?
No. You know I don't.
But they loved.
It's
they
funny,
loved
though,
Joe Walsh though. That's
But
what,
Glenn, Fry and Henley said he's like, me and he talks about them being like the kind of managers.
Yeah.
And because he says, everybody loves to hate those guys in the band. It's like Jagger and Richards and they just tell everybody else what to do. And yeah, they probably didn't have a lot of friends in the band, but like they got the job done. And he's like, and Roger Waters and everyone else. I thought
Kinda
it was interesting he
CEOs.
threw that.
They
And
see
which is
themselves
true,
as,
I guess.
It's true, yeah. They kind of
That's
see
the
themselves
Kiss
as
thing
CEOs.
too. Kiss has that total philosophy.
CEO
They're kind of the
mentality.
It's the CEO money making mentality.
Yeah.
It's like because everyone loves Peter Criss and like Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
And then Stanley's got to come on and say, well, yeah, blah, 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 but we got the job done. We got
Yeah.
the fucking job done.
Exactly.
You need guys like me and Gene.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Simmons and Stanley?
Oh
Or
yeah,
the-
Yeah.
it's
Well, yeah,
Simmons.
they-
Simmons is a
they don't-
cutthroat business.
Let's do a Kiss podcast and I'll have nothing to say, too.
We're talking about guys who saw where the money was and went to the crossroads, and they did it. It makes you
Surprised they didn't get Clapton in the group.
It makes you real. Honestly, the story of the Eagles makes me at least very skeptical of culture in general. This is a bit heavy, but it kind of
Well-
makes me a little skeptical because
How so? You
Because
Lay
like,
this out for me.
what's its point? Like, what's the point of it all? It's pointless. If the Eagles can manipulate culture so easily, and I like the songs to the point that they have two of the top selling records of all time, what's the job of culture?
Well,
Like,
I think
sure,
it was just.
to
I know what you're
entertain.
saying. It's like you hope that you would have hoped after
Hold on,
the.
let me have my honey cruller here, and I'll get into this.
Is that a
you-
honey cruller?
You would have hoped after.
Jealous.
I
thought you were intermittent fasting.
I had a Whopper for lunch.
after the swinging '60s.
Yeah.
we would have all hoped, man, that
Yeah.
people
Dig
would
yourself,
have
man.
that the art and the music would have shown through. And I see what you mean. It's kind of interesting that just like
Well, how
that
easy it is to
somehow
just-
a band that was like not even nearly the best band became the biggest band. It's
Yeah.
like there's
Because
something.
they had the advantage of looking at all the failures.
Interesting.
So we see the Burrito Brothers as like
Yeah.
the grandfather of all that shit.
Yeah.
But they were a
totally.
fuck up band.
Yeah.
Couldn't get their shit together.
Right.
Poco couldn't get their shit together really.
No. True.
So they saw that. They're like, okay, it's got something. but
Yeah.
what does it need?
Yeah.
It
Totally.
needs two
And it doesn't.
proper.
And it doesn't need really good records.
Well,
apparently.
well, they had hits, man.
They have
yeah,
hits.
but like
Why
that's
the
but that's
fucking-
what I'm saying. But like,
They got big songs.
yeah, but they have. But I know they're big. But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
and
but-
they sourced it out like a.
Exactly. They kind of outsourced it.
They did, yeah.
They outsourced their writers.
Yeah.
It's true. It's really interesting. But also, what I would say to.
But why are they one of the most hated bands amongst music people? And you know this. Everyone
Yeah.
you meet who we know always
I
says
kinda
the Eagles.
Like them.
kinda
yeah, no,
like
you
them.
After
kind of like
prepping
them.
for this whole thing, I'm kind of into them.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but like
I'm
you're
not saying that
into
ironically
them
either.
like
I respect.
you know, you're not into them like other bands from that era. And
No.
like people we talk to who we know, yet they're the biggest band.
Well, like kind of a Nickelback vibe.
It's
maybe.
like the Big Lebowski thing. You know, I hate the Eagles and all. It's like a thing. It's like a joke that they're bad.
when you're really famous, that's what happens.
Yeah,
though.
I don't know.
I saw an interview with like Chris Martin talking
What do you
about
mean
that
it's
with
not?
Coldplay, where he's like, I know a lot of
Well, it's the Bee Gees doc, eh?
yeah, where he's like,
Yeah.
when you become, I know, and he's actually quite nice, and I think he does a good job in that. Where he's like, when you get really big, there is an inevitable massive backlash against you, and I know what that feels like, and
Yeah,
you
but
just
they
have
also
to
are
kind
kinda
of keep your
bad.
eyes on the prize. Who?
Coldplay.
Well, they're only as bad as the Eagles, I guess.
Yeah, but the Beatles are good. The Stones are good. No one goes around. They're huge. No one goes around talking about how the Stones suck. So why is that? Like,
that's why I was talking about being skeptical of culture, and I
Yeah,
think
well-
that what I mean to say, and I think that this relates to everything we're saying, is that all culture can do and music can do, at its best, is describe the now, the conditions of the now, of what is happening right now, and that's all it can do, and then people can use that description and to create movements or do. It's never political. It can never do that stuff, and I think that that's what the mid 70s were like. Like, I think that the Eagles are like a zeitgeist of culture, where it's like, the hippie stuff failed. It didn't happen. Like, everyone's dead. Janis, Beavis, Elvis, Otis, Sam Cooke. It's all gone. Like, and all that's left like signifiers of what this music at one point represented. But Vietnam's still happening. We're all still high, and now that high's turned into deep paranoia. Like, because nothing really changed, and the signifiers are still there, and we can just fill it with a new thing, and that's the start of neoliberalism too, and corporate greed, and it's like we're gonna make a lot of money.
I'm getting paranoid listening to you.
Exactly.
James, fuck.
I think
Johnny
that-
said he wanted to have a coffee. I was like, dude, you'll get tweaky.
You'll tweak out,
You'll
buddy.
stop
I think
I'll put it up. I know what you're saying, James, but
Yeah.
I would just say the Eagles weren't culturally relevant at all.
They
That's
were-
what
that's the difference
that's
between
what
them
I'm
and-
saying. I'm with Mike. I
Interesting.
think what it is, honestly, is that it was easy to digest.
Yeah, it's
Like I think that it was music that, like you say, all these people were coming out of things.
Sure.
They were having babies. They had jobs. They were
Yeah.
doing shit. They didn't want to have to think too much about
Yeah.
it. It was easy to listen to.
Yes.
It was essentially easy listening
They're
music.
capturing and like I say, they're capturing the now.
Yeah, it's like how Bread, all those kinds of bands, although I love Bread, all that shit
Dude,
took
Bread
off.
is totally your vibe.
Yeah, all that stuff took off in the 70s because it was like, you know what? I just don't want to think too much about
know.
this.
There's always been that shit there. There's always been Doris Day and
Yeah.
Dude, Doris
Yeah,
Day.
but there was a moment
You
there
know,
where-
Doris Day was fucking Sly from Sly
I
and the
hope
Family
so.
Stone. Yeah, and you know who's Doris Day's son? Terry Melcher,
Ooh.
who's like the
Are we gonna go
sleaziest
down
guy-
that road?
the sleaziest guy of all time. Was like literally the guy that Manson was trying to kill when he accidentally killed Sharon Tate. They were going for Melcher. Melcher also wrote Kokomo, the song,
co-wrote it.
with John
Too
Phillips.
bad he wasn't killed. Fuck.
Exactly.
We were thinking that's the sleaziest songwriting team of all time. John Phillips, Terry Melcher, and Mike Love. Kokomo.
Yeah.
Writing about an imaginary island.
Which Brian Wilson, up
fucking
until last year,
Epstein
thought was real.
anthem.
And Johnny Payne.
Johnny Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an interview with Brian Wilson from last year
There
where
is
someone asked
one
him
in
about
the Virgin
Kokomo,
Islands, by the
and
way.
he's like, and he didn't know it wasn't real.
Yeah.
He thought it was a real place.
Well,
And
it
then I
is
said that to Johnny, and Johnny was like, "It's not a real place.
Well, it is. It's not off the Florida Keys, but there is a Kokomo.
Is it near Aruba?
It's not near Ooh, I Want to Take Ya.
No. You're saying that Ooh, I Want to Take You is not a place? I thought that was in French Polynesia. What are you talking about? How's your honey?
Well, we've already
cooler?
talked about everything I know about the Eagles, so what else you guys got?
Oh, look, this guy's like unplugged his mic over here. What is this, a shit show? This
Am I
is some
on
high
here?
roller energy here.
Am I on?
Am I on? Am I
you're
on the
on,
right
buddy.
chord?
I don't know. Let me check. This is the second.
It's been up for the last hour.
Yeah, no, I got you.
That'd be great. I'd love to
Maybe
start
all
over.
those quotes for a Johnny's mic.
I'd love to start over, honestly.
But that's what I think's going on with the Eagles. I think that they're an
Huh?
expression of the culture of the mid '70s,
Yeah.
ultimately, which is like
People get older.
pretty bloated at that point, and that's like Fleetwood Mac too.
Because of songs like Hotel California.
You know what's interesting about Hotel California,
Life in the
other
Fast
than
Lane?
it being a fucking wicked. No, I like the sleazy stuff. I love
But
when
that,
the
that
Eagles.
stuff references the lifestyle of the 70s,
Yeah.
right? So is that what you're talking about?
I
The
think I
culture
just
shit?
mean like no. I think their sleazy stuff is actually pretty cool. I think that's like pretty.
Just radio rock.
Yeah, but I like
Johnny's just like, fuck these guys.
Hotel California is a cool tune.
Yeah.
I'll tell Feldner that, man. That poor guy's got
I like
to
the
schlep
guitar
around
solo.
the casinos with a Pro Tools thing on his voice. Have you seen Feldner?
He's got a
tour?
Pro Tools
Well, he
rig?
really
He's
tried
got like a
auto-tune rig.
auto tune on his voice.
Are you kidding me?
No,
Oh my god! So he's not included in this new live show they've done, Mike.
they had
Tell
a
us
very
about that.
tumultuous lawsuit for him to get out of the
A
band.
lot of lawsuits.
So tell me about this new. The Eagles are back, right, Mike?
Jesus,
These guys are doing some Ashram Swami shit next door right now.
I feel like
It's
they're
getting
running the
psychedelic.
gambit of like '60s
I don't know what's
counterculture.
going on next
Yeah.
door. It's like
They went from kind of 50s
bye love
doo-wop
2 minutes ago.
to folk
And
to
now they're in
kind
kind of like now they've gone to Rishikesh.
yeah.
They've kind of had like a.
They're just doing the Beatles journey.
Yeah, 100%.
They started with kind of like Hard Day's Night kind of boogie rock, and then they went to like rubber soul folk, and now they're on to kind of
soon they'll just be they'll be doing blues. They're kind of jamming.
no,
in
they're
E.
doing the Everly
Everly
Brothers
Brothers a lot.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, trying to research for this fucking thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
we
noticed
do that a lot actually. We've been
I
like
noticed
on
the
Wikipedia
Eagles had a
all
new
year.
album out, and I was like, 2020 is like, and it was like a live album too, like live at the Coliseum, kind of like Pink Floyd style.
Oh, yeah.
like at the ruins. I was like,
Oh, a
I'm like,
Pompeii
when did
kinda
they get the
energy.
chance to record this to a live audience? So I click on it on Spotify. And then every third track is like one of the Eagles addressing the crowd. It's like a little message from Joe,
Nice.
little message from like Timothy B. Schmidt. Hey guys, how y'all doing out there? And it's obviously a fake crowd noise.
And then the crowd, and then that sound from like, if any of you use like a MIDI controller in Logic, where you like,
Yeah.
you set it up like applause and laughter.
Yeah, sure.
Click that, and then you hit like the F sharp key, and it goes woo. That's when
Nice.
Joe Walsh introduces Deacon Fry, which I thought was his name.
Do you think he's named after the Steely Dan song or Deacon Blue? Like, what do you think?
I think it's just because he's.
Well,
You don't think it's because all those guys love Steely Dan, right? Because they're
Yeah.
real. They're like they're just real
Their
musicians.
egos are so bloated
Yeah.
that when Steely Dan referenced them in
Yeah.
a very negative way.
Yeah, they're
Is
like-
that
They thought-
referencing them in What a Fool Would Say That? You think?
No, that's referencing like
the sea,
Crosby.
the
Mon-
60s.
Monterey, like
Like, we'll get into that after
Yeah.
because that's a good question.
Uh-huh.
But
because like this is like welcome to like thanks, Mike.
Sorry, Mike. You should have someone to be like, yeah, no, actually, we'll get
Could
to
you want
that.
me to write
later.
that down?
they, I'll take a note of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you in the
But
back there
the
with
neighbors
the glasses.
are listening to the Eagles, and then they loved it. They thought they were like getting called out, and they was like the Steely Knives. Like if that's like an insult, I don't know what kind of rebuttal that is.
Steely Dan.
Hotel
When did they call
California.
them out?
Steely Dan called them out in a lyric. The neighbors are listening to the Eagles. That's
Oh,
all I
I
can
see.
remember.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Hotel California.
And in Hotel California,
They cut them with their steely
like
knives.
that's the best they could do. You know.
Well, if they were outsourcing those songs, they should have found a better lyricist.
I like it that I like it that he sings in a kind of like he code switches and kind of has like sings in like a Jamaican accent in that song.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, it is kind of like. That's why I was on a podcast recently, guesting, and I got asked a great question that they said, Johnny, on your podcast you talk a lot about like drugs and like these 70s rock stars who did a lot of coke, and they said, what makes a cokey song? Well, how do you define that? And I think that what it is, though I want to like write an essay about it or something,
Yeah.
is like where you're so. Your ego's so bloated that you think that you can write a song that's like reggae and blues and like Latin
And political.
and flavored and political all in one, and then it's like Hotel California.
I mean,
Or
it's
the
Just tell
disco-
them to listen to like "Love the One You're With" live.
100%.
Or Dark Star.
Yeah. Or just
Still-
the whole
Steven
Just watch that.
Yeah.
Dude, have you thought about that riff of Dark Star? Steven Still, it's like that
Bum,
riff
bum,
is
bum,
like where you're
bum,
so
bum,
high you
bum.
think it's a great bong dong 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 dong.
Cocaine.
He's like, this sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's better because it's JJ like he's making
He's
like a
bummed.
statement about it.
Yeah, he's bummed. I mean, Dark Star is up there. Stills has some of the cokiest songs of all time.
I know,
for
I
sure.
should-
Dark Star and Love the One You're With for sure. Because
Watch that live. You'll get a good idea.
The message of it's weird too. It's just like fuck the person who's
Fuck
closest.
the one you're with. I'm
Like-
with you, baby.
Yeah, fuck it. My wife's at home, but like, listen, I'm on tour.
Yeah,
Like we're on.
it's about me now.
Disco Strangler is the cokiest song of all time, off the long run by the Eagles. There is that song, that's like what you just said about like, I think I can do like reggae, blues, politics, and rock at the same time, but I've done so much coke that I'm also going to change how rhythm works.
Yeah.
Like I've got a different like kind of rhythm. Like it's not even a normal Western rhythm. It's like, it makes no sense.
Well, how many genres are in Hotel California? Because we got reggae.
for sure.
We
Flamenco.
definitely have flamenco.
Yeah, we got some
Definitely have like
proto 80s soft metal.
there's
with
definitely
the rototom
blues
kind
in
of
the lead
stuff.
in the lead guitar playing. There's blues. It's kind of
Yeah.
calypso too, but
Yeah, a lot of that.
reggae too.
He's
I guess.
code switching vocally, so he's doing like
Rock.
he's doing like rock, but sung by like King Tubby.
On the dark desert highway.
Yeah. It's kind of almost Indian too. It's accidentally. Some of the prog.
His version or Johnny's?
Yeah. Well, Johnny
embellishing.
sounded a little
I'm
bit like he was Ravi there for sure. He had
Does
a
he
Ravi
sing?
vibe. He sings,
he
like
sings with his
listen.
guitar.
He sings with his sitar. man.
Sitar?
Listen,
Does he
you
play
can't
guitar?
listen. If
You know what I mean?
He probably can play guitar.
But
Like a mother
okay,
brother.
I was. You're talking about like how everyone in the mid '70s is like, oh, you're just like, I don't want to think anymore.
They're settling down.
Yeah,
They're getting older.
But yeah, it's not that like we're talking about 1975, 1967. It's 8 years, right? Like the earnestness of people listening to music at Monterey that we just did. Like Ravi's playing, and he demanded that people aren't even allowed to smoke cigarettes while he's playing because he really doesn't want it to like interfere with the message. And it's the same. You see like Four-Way Street. They're all coked up playing like acoustic versions of songs to 100,000 people being like, guys, you're going to have to be quiet now. Otherwise, you won't get the message,
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same. What I mean is, it's the same music. Like Taking It Easy is the same music as the 7 years prior. Not even like 5 years prior. Like Harvest's 72 or something? It's the same style of music, but they've convinced people that they actually don't have to earnestly listen to it. Like, you don't have to. It sounds the same. It's the same instruments. The lyrics aren't even that different. And it's just like, but you don't have to listen earnestly. You can just like have it on in the background. Like, just like live your life.
You're right.
Yeah,
It is
fucking-
smart. It
fucking
is smart.
thank God for that, man. I don't want to have to fucking think.
I don't
Well,
have to
that's
I
why-
don't like.
I love the Eagles, man.
Yeah, I don't fucking.
You know what I mean?
Like, I love Boston, dude.
Yeah.
Give me the first album all day.
That's
Yeah.
why.
He was thinking, though.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool though.
that guy was like,
There's
basically,
That's a perfect album. There's
He
not,
was
there's
kinda
not a
music-
stinker
There's
on
more
it.
music going on there.
that guy was in a fugue state. I was, kind of by himself working on tunes.
Building a studio and stuff.
in his
like-
mind, building a studio. He also was probably into like train spotting and stuff. He was like kind of like a bit, he's like a spectrum guy
He's a bit spectrum,
for
yeah.
sure. Like he's like really into like okay.
He also killed the lead singer, but Brad Delp.
Tell me all about it.
He killed him?
Yeah, dude.
How?
Just emotional torture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
There's not much of that. Any.
But Tom Schultz is such a nice guy on the exterior that no
Yeah.
one ever talks about it.
Interesting. So you're saying
Like he led. He
I'm just
killed
letting
him,
you know.
he
I'm
killed
not
him.
saying anything.
on the
I'm letting
record.
you know.
You're saying that he killed the lead singer.
Yeah, he left a suicide note, and he said, "Tom's been a motherfucker to me, and
Wow.
I'm going to kill myself."
Wow.
Wow. Did any of the Eagles go out that way?
They're all
Well, I'm
alive,
sure-
man.
Yeah.
Well, Meisner's fucking homeless now, thanks to the Eagles.
They
so.
kind of said, "You leave, we'll ruin you." And
None
we'll
of
take,
them
take
have
That's
it
what
down."
really struck me too.
Oh, no,
with this,
Fry's
like,
dead.
this fake.
Yeah, but he just died of actual stuff.
Yeah, the doctor killed him. But
I'll make a note.
like
of
this
that.
live album with Timothy B. Schmidt's like my predecessors here, the great Randy Meisner, and I'm thinking Randy's not going to any shows these days. Like
No,
he's a street
no.
guy.
He's hanging out with Sly and Doris Day.
But
Probably.
Randy
Under
Meisner
the-
probably
like,
doesn't
on the
do a
LA
vocal
River.
intro, does
Probably
he?
Randy doesn't even remember he was in the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, Joe
and
Walsh-
you know what? And he's been erased from the corporate history of the Eagles, so he probably wasn't.
It was so fucking bad being a part of the Eagles that I think guys like Leadon and Meisner
Souther
just said,
and
"Fuck
Souther.
it here."
Yeah,
I love this kind of energy. Like, so Frank Ocean sampled some parts of Hotel California.
Bad move.
recently.
Bad move,
I
buddy.
didn't like pay. And I just love this language with Henley talking about it. He says, some of these young kids have grown up in a world that doesn't understand or respect copyright material or intellectual property. And he says, they look at songs as interactive playthings. And then the
It's exactly what Don Henley did his whole career. That's what kills me.
100%.
yeah, and then this interviewer says, was he not flattered that an artist of Ocean's cool caliber? And then Henley says, I didn't think he was cool. He interrupts. I thought he was a talentless little prick, and I still do.
Money doesn't buy you happiness, man.
He's a crunchy old man. It's like
Who got away with...
he's just on his own crusade now in his old age. His band's basically dead.
It's kind of a QAnon energy. He's kind of on... It's like we gave our old people the internet, and this is like, he's just like, oh, I can just be on this all day.
He's
just
on the
like,
internet Skyping in with like congressmen.
100%.
He's like, help me.
Yeah.
Because people are sampling my music, putting it on YouTube, not paying me.
No, and I also don't... Yeah.
He's kind of got this like reddish hue to his skin too, like kind of like
yeah.
Brian Burke from years of drinking.
Yeah,
even
yeah,
though I don't
yeah,
think he
yeah.
has. I think it's just the stress
No, it's
of
just,
knowing people are
like, it's just like that
using
kind of
him.
like permanently looks like he needs to take a shit kind of vibe. But the shit is rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the union he's like president of, it's like co-authored by him and Courtney Love.
Interesting.
So these two people who are
That
just
makes
like
sense.
Have a lot to lose.
lot to lose.
a lot to lose. They
That
have
makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
That's a sleazy scene.
Yeah.
One way to put it, or two people who've been completely ripped off by the industry.
100%. They both seem like they've been ripped off by the industry majorly.
Haven't got what's coming to them.
And you're kind of like, that's their press angle. Like they hire some kind of like Blackwater press, like deep state press company to say that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
To say that the guy who is the singer on the number 2 and 3 best-selling album of all time
been
is like,
ripped off.
hasn't gotten what
He's
he
worth
deserves.
$200 million.
let him be.
Yeah. Give
Also,
him what he's earned.
He's willing
through
to talk about everything except those 2 16-year-old girls he killed when they died after he fucked them in his bathtub.
he'll in this interview he says he said the interviewer says he'll discuss anything except that night.
Yeah.
That's off
Just a word of the wise guys. When you edit this saying, please don't play any Eagles over it because it'll get taken down.
We should try it out, see what happens.
Try.
You know,
Well, wait till James gets on Reddit, dude, and starts fucking posting shit about Don Henley's rape allegations.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like Walter Becker did a similar thing and became an avocado farmer in Hawaii.
Well, it wasn't similar in that the woman actually died.
Yeah. Well, I think one of them died at Henley's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that he called Geffen up and was like, make this disappear.
Oh, right, that's right.
That's when he wrote the lyrics to Dirty Laundry. He had a writing partner at that point.
Yeah.
That was when the press were talking about his murder of a 16-year-old girl.
Dirty
And
laundry.
he's like,
be.
stop airing my dirty laundry out.
Yeah.
But guys like that, I read about, he's like an avid environmentalist.
Nice.
So he'll hide behind some bullshit cause like that. to
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that kind of energy, like you see a lot of that kind of like 80s corporate energy. Those guys will be like, they use like Eastern mysticism because they grew up with like Ravi and a lot of the Beatles stuff and like the Rishikesh Swami scene. So they'll use a lot of that to be like, oh yeah, like I've like destroyed like people's lives. I've like pulled down the Amazon rainforest, but that's not the real me. The real me is transcendental, and I'm into yoga and the Beatles and all that kind of neat stuff, you know. And that's kind of his vibe, you know. Yeah. He's like, no, listen, we're destroying the planet, but don't worry about those girls in the bathtub.
Yeah. Underage girl ODs, and the song's really about how the media and news isn't doing their job.
Yeah.
They're not talking
Fake
about
news.
the right thing. Yeah.
Fake news,
It's like,
dude.
come on, buddy.
Yeah.
We know what's up.
It doesn't matter that he had like a kind of like a runner who would go out in a car and just like scour bus stops.
Yeah, absolutely.
For like transient women
Yeah.
who are arriving in LA looking
Yeah.
for a job.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you want to go party with one of the Eagles?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a good vibe.
Yeah, it's a sleazy vibe, man.
Salads and sun, baby.
I always wondered whether
That
like
song's about the Beatles, I think. But
I always kind of thought Crosby in a white
a Monterey thing. It's kind of
Stetson.
Because
hat.
Lennon was wearing that hat at the time, and there was a reference to Old Brown Shoe, which is a Beatles song.
Okay.
Okay.
And Lennon was all about just this
Right.
kind of
While he
shallow idealism.
while he was slapping around everyone in sight, and I love
Same
those
kind of thing.
Yeah, and
being
I
a
love those.
negligent father to his firstborn.
And I love those photos of him and Yoko while they're bedding for peace. Is getting cleaned by the like Filipino like maids, and they're stood off the bed because they need it. Like, we're not fucking staying in this bed for peace. Clean the fucking bed, and we'll get back in it for the photos.
I know.
Yeah.
And the like 2 protests he went on,
And
it's
all
always the
because
same photos.
John
He's
just-
got the same hat and clothes. It's like 2 of them.
Yeah. He's kind of a Che vibe, man.
Yeah.
And to think he did it all because he wanted to fuck Paul.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. Just wanted to fuck Paul over.
And Paul always got the better of him too, kind of like Neil and Stills a little bit or something. Like it was.
I mean, that's complicated.
It's like not caring, like because Paul. I don't think Paul really cared as much about the rivalry.
Oh, you think he wanted to actually have sex with Paul?
Oh,
On
sorry.
a deep level, yeah.
On a deep level.
Probably. Well, they did have sex.
Did they?
There's many stories of Beatles orgies.
Yeah.
I don't know about if he penetrated.
Talk
the
about
anus.
a circle of fear.
I don't know. I don't know if John penetrated Paul's anus.
Well, no, it's just
I'm not going to claim to say that, but I do know I've read a bunch of books that there were many orgies in the early 60s.
Well, and Paul is a vegetarian,
all
too,
4
now,
involved.
so maybe
All
it's to do
4
with that.
Beatles involved. All 4 Beatles involved. Circle jerks were like a thing. That was like a pre-show ritual kind of thing.
That's also like to do with like men only boarding school stuff. That's just like normal in England. That's just in the 60s
I'm
in
serious.
England. No, I know. It's
I'm serious. I've read there were orgies were crazy. Like Ronnie Spector was involved
Oh, yeah.
in some. It was wild.
you can
stuff.
only be the prime minister of
You can
England
only
if you've,
write songs
like,
that
had-
good
if you've like had a
fucked your
blowjob from a
songwriting
dead
partner.
pig. Oh, you think it's to do with that?
That's why they were so good.
That's why
You
we've
gotta be
never been
connected on that
successful. We've
one.
not been fucking. the
Nick's
whole time?
Buckingham, Lennon McCartney,
Fry.
Fry Henley.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're getting somewhere finally.
Do you think they were fucking? Stills has never had sex in his life.
Well, that's why he's never written a good song.
Well, who was Neil fucking?
Probably Joni.
No.
He didn't do Graham and Joni. They had some good songs.
One song.
Yeah.
She had a lot of good songs, but she was definitely like.
Well,
taking-
no, sorry.
She had a
Pardon
lot
me.
of sexual power.
James, I'm really sorry. You asked a question and I had the answer. It's if you're a solo singer-songwriter,
Right.
you
It's
don't
different.
need to have sex with your songwriting partner. It's only if you're a songwriting partnership.
King Toppin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Elton John, Bernie Taupin.
They were fucking. I think King Goffin, didn't I? Bernie.
King Toppin. You
That's
said.
cool. That's a cool scene.
Yeah.
She was
We
the
can make
music.
that happen.
King
still.
Goffin, they were married.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know about Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
They-
Probably.
I don't know, man.
Page and Plant. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Well, they were
Jagger Richards, get over it.
100%.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Who wasn't Jagger fucking?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they fucked.
100%.
Jagger and Richards. Yeah.
Simon Garfunkel.
Well, Cocksucker
well,
Blues.
he didn't know. He didn't help write any songs. So
They
he
were
was
fucking-
trying. He was trying to have sex with Paul Simon a lot, and he was like, "Nah." He's
Oh.
like, "I got this."
Oh, okay. Use that
He's
energy.
like, "Dude, let me be part of this songwriting partnership, man.
we
You
could be so much more.
you could do whatever you want to be." And he's like, "No, I got this."
Use that energy, channel that sexual frustration to just sing the best female eunuch harmonies you can.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to explore why Bernie Leadon left the group.
Okay.
And I think it's because they weren't like
I thought that-
receptive to his prog tendencies.
I thought it
Because
was
you think he's a
because he
country
wanted
guy.
to stay country.
No, you don't write a fucking song like Journey of the Sorcerer
Hell yeah.
and tell me that guy wants to be a bluegrass country guy. Come on.
Where does Souther fit in with him? J.D. Souther.
He's just like I don't even know what I know he's in a band with Hillman
Yeah.
and
So-
Messina.
So
he was
Bernie
kinda-
Leadon, for those who don't know, member of the Flying Burrito Brothers, the Birds as well.
No.
Even later?
Maybe some studio work.
Everyone was in the Birds.
apparently the bird. He was in the Birds, the Hillman,
Yeah,
the
of
Flying
course.
Burrito Brothers,
Yeah.
and the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
He might have been in the Dillards or something too. I don't know. He was.
Dillard and Clark.
Or just the Dillards.
I
Different group.
I got to tell you something real quick before you get into this. I was hanging out with Sophie's dad. Apparently, Hillman still the most respected musician in LA, in Laurel Canyon.
He's a rock.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Hellman. Fuck.
Like because
He'll start crying.
Sophie's dad was going to see him all the time, like play with a guy who he connects with, banjo guy, plays. Fuck, what was the guy's name? Anyway, he was just like Hillman's like Sophie's dad's been like backstage with like Crosby and Hillman, like Crosby showing up being like a weird deluded old man, and Hillman's like kind of like. He's
grounded. Like Hillman's a really grounded
he's super
guy.
seriously into music and is a major player. Like he's a player, you know.
Yeah.
He's respected because Sophie's dad's like a major jazz player, and he's like Hillman's he's kind of like segued into just being a player. Like he's a respected player. It's interesting.
Well, he definitely hung out and jammed with some great like
Yeah.
bluegrass players and
all the Dillard and Clark stuff, right?
rock and roll and country. He can do, you know.
Who am I thinking of? His band that he was in the late 70s, early 80s. He kind of had some success.
The Desert Rose Band.
Exactly. That's who I mean. The Desert Rose Band.
Did he always play? I mean, I know he played a lot of guitar, but like, is he kind of known as a bass player?
No,
He's a mandolin.
known
he's
as
a
like
bluegrass.
bluegrass. It's like a bluegrass scene.
He probably just got stuck. I mean, who knows if he even played bass in the band? Like,
Yeah.
probably the record.
I love
crew.
his bass playing though. Oh, I know what you mean on the records. Yeah,
But I think he's just a grounded guy, super professional, and he just didn't have any of that charisma that fell to guys like Parsons or something.
I think Herb Peterson is who I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's the guy that Sophie's dad knows and is like, that's the guy. Like, he's the guy, and like Hillman comes with Herb Peterson or the other way around.
because they were both in Desert
Yeah,
Rose.
Exactly. And like those guys are like heavy still in the scene.
Because Herb would have been in the Dillards, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Like he was,
And he's like the guy you go to for all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you need a guy who can actually play banjo properly or can play any of those instruments, all the bluegrass stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just checking out the track listing of this Eagles' greatest hits here, and just trying to find.
It's slim.
You think of like Leadon, man. Like he wrote
Yeah.
2 songs for the Eagles: "Witchy Woman"
Weird.
and "Journey of the Sorcerer."
Strange.
Which
yeah.
a woman?
Witchy, dude.
Dude, it's witchy.
Seinfeld? Anybody?
Yeah. I know.
No.
I know.
But what's the angle there? Who's he kind of like? Who's he? Is he just getting into prog?
You think he was just
proto prog, or is he like
raven hair?
or is he listening to like Zeppelin and shit?
he might have been, and maybe just like a true sports management. They're
Yeah.
like we're not going in that direction.
And that was like the
Like we
first
don't want to
album,
power
right?
forward right now.
No,
No, we're playing a more of a defensive game.
yeah, 100%.
Right now, that's the
Yeah.
Eagles definitely played a very conservative,
Well,
defensive style.
but they're also kind of like this is a 5-year plan here. You're, you know, this is
It's just
we're
right now we're just trying
right
to,
now
you know,
we're just trying to like
keep asses in the seats.
yeah.
right now.
This is and
You know,
what you're
we
trying
got 1 foot.
We're not trying to become the
not
new
flashy.
clown band of Laurel Canyon.
No, we're not.
No. Like the Doors are done for sure. We respect
Jim's
that.
dead,
Yeah, he's
so.
literally dead.
Yeah.
But we're not going to try and take on. And Arthur Lee's in jail, so Love aren't going to like do it.
Beach
But
Brian's in the
Brian's in
sand
the
pit.
sand pit.
Bernie knew.
Shitting himself
Bernie
eating
knew
hamburgers.
Bernie knew the end was nigh when he showed up to rehearsal in a cape.
Yeah. Greg Reeves did that one time. I mean, he was still allowed. You were still allowed to be in like a clown band as the in the CSNY times.
Clown bands were still had a bit of respect in LA
71,
at that time.
In 71,
Yeah.
for sure. Post LA Woman, it was difficult, but Greg Reeves, who was the bass player on Deja Vu, he was showing up in a cape for the Doom tour and stuff and making $100,000 a night. He ended up in a psychiatric hospital with Brian Wilson together, like clown psychiatric hospital.
And the album they made is still there.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg Reeves and Brian
Let me ask you
Wilson.
this, Mike.
Smile.
We talk a lot about, rock and roll heaven. If you believe in forever. That kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we know who's up there. Jimmy. Jim. The other Jim.
James.
James. Janice.
Yeah.
Otis. Elvis. But we talk a little bit lately about rock and roll hell. Who's down there? And, we figure John Phillips, Phil Spector.
There's a lot of producers.
Weird band. So we know Henley's going there.
100%.
So I'm thinking
but he's too old. Like, you have to be, like, early.
Not for hell.
Is the crime
right.
the crime a legitimate crime in life? Like you fucking shot your wife. Or
You're a bad guy.
You raped your daughter.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay, not the music you made.
No.
No, so you just, like, they get it. It was like Phillips and Spector, like, they're nailed.
They're
It's going to be a great sounding record.
It's not a good vibe
Decent
if you're
producer.
like giving, if you're like injecting your daughter with cocaine at the age of 3 and then having sex with her by the time she's 13. You're probably going to rock and roll hell.
Okay.
But we were just thinking, I was thinking it's a really weird sounding band.
Yeah.
With,
Well, you're going to have Gene Simmons on bass.
Gene Simmons
No,
on
because
bass.
Jewish people don't have heaven or hell, so he's not going. It's different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm talking, you got on piano Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, who's not even dead
fuck
yet.
off. He's not going there.
Okay.
If there's a heaven, he's going.
Let him be.
Let him be.
He doesn't know whether he's going to heaven or hell. He's made a. I've seen.
He won't fucking die.
About it.
You've got Don Henley on drums. You've got Eric Clapton on lead guitar. Sounds pretty good so far.
You're putting Clapton in hell?
Well, he murdered Jimi Hendrix.
and B.B. King.
Of course.
Or do you?
Where have I
Dwayne
been?
Allman. He was seen with grease on his hands the day Allman died.
I mean, the evidence is there.
Listen, you might be laughing now, but we're going to have to really face reality at some point.
You also think the Earth is round?
Strap in, Mike. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like Suge Knight?
No, he's fine.
He didn't kill anyone?
No, he dangled Vanilla Ice off a balcony one time.
Well, that's fine with me.
That's about all that. Is he dead?
No, he's
Oh, no,
what
he's
about
not.
Keith Moon? Is he going? Because he killed his valet.
Oh, interesting.
Did he?
So we got 2 drummers down there.
Dude, got away with it too. Pretty rad.
Interesting. I once said he'd be up in... Yeah, okay, so that's good to know.
Where's Nielsen?
He's in rock and roll heaven in my books. He didn't do anything that anybody else didn't
accessory after the fact to the valet.
I don't know that story.
Him and Moon loved hanging out together.
Yeah, but I don't think he was around for that story.
Well, like believe what you want, but at some point you're it's a treacherous to
You're
live
not
past
taking
your
me
own
down that
myth.
road.
So
Eagles-
it's Feldner.
Okay, Don Felder. What I really enjoyed was, that Eagles Hell Freezes Over reunion
Yeah.
show?
Yes.
I felt that he really made up for lost time just via his flamenco nylon string classical guitar solo at the end of Hotel California and that.
Okay.
He was making a statement there. Expand on that, Mike.
He's a hell of a player. I mean, he taught Petty.
This
Probably
is the kind
taught
of
Stills,
Gainesville
too.
scene, the Gainesville Gators kind of scene. Sort of like north of Swampy, but kind of swampy down there.
But he had a big bone to chew. I mean, he was like, I was telling Johnny, like, he almost got booted out of the Eagles for wearing the wrong shoes.
That makes sense.
And what I said is, hey, if you showed up to practice without your cleats,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
what would the coach do?
Yeah, exactly.
He'd throw you
100%.
up against the fucking lockers
Yeah.
and be like, go home, you fucking wuss.
I like the idea of like their jam space being a kind of locker room.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I imagine it. Like
Or
it's kind of like got showers in it, liniment smell, and they're kind of like you go in there and you just like strap up, put your jock on,
And you make
get
a guy
out
like Randy Meisner like shower up before the rehearsal.
everyone watching.
Like, just like, get in there.
Get in
Take
there.
it off.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a Full Metal.
And then he's like,
Jacket
"You wanna-"
vibe. It's kind of like got like, a
And
full-
then
yeah.
Henley's like, you want to write a song together? Like,
Yeah.
let me get in there with you.
Yeah. Don't drop like American History X now all of a sudden. It's kind of like don't drop the soap kind of vibe. Would
Could
you
be.
drop the soap if you were in a shower with,
Who?
Glenn Fry?
I'd
Would you
try
be
to
worried?
avoid that situation?
Forgo that whole thing.
Don Henley, you know what I mean?
I
Would
feel
you-
like Glenn Fry would look really good in a football jersey like Steven
I
Stills.
feel like that was his vibe.
Yeah.
to
He
be
did
honest.
wear them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Steven Stills, he wore a lot of different kind of costumes.
Well, he got into delusional Vietnam hysteria in the mid '70s.
The football jersey.
They
was
try
one-
to get Fellner into politics. He's not a real political guy.
Yeah,
So they did like a benefit for like a Democrat back in the 70s.
yeah.
And the like congresswoman or whatever came up to Feldner. He's like, "Thank you so much for the benefit show." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And she laughed. And he's like, turned to his wife. He's like, "I guess so. I guess so." Poor Feldner didn't know. He's like, "I'm just a guitar player."
Yeah.
Well, Glenn
Fuck
Fry.
it.
That's
Glenn
the-
Fry heard him say that, and he fucking nearly beat the shit out of him on stage.
Yeah.
Wasn't there that famous story that Glenn Fry mouthed at him one night during a show? He said, "I'm gonna fucking kill you.
That's
I can't
the night.
wait
He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
I
I can't wait.
wait.
Oh, I
wait.
can't wait."
to kill you."
He'll kill you, yeah.
And Fellner's such a nice guy. The only way he could like express his rage, he told the roadies like, "Get me that old Takamine acoustic," and he
Dust it off.
just dusted off
dust
and he
it off.
smashed it on stage.
Yeah. Couldn't
even do his real
wouldn't
guitar.
do it with the Martin.
Yeah,
And Crosby might respect a decision like that.
Yeah, Crosby's real anti.
No, but he
guitar
might be
smashing.
like, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
If you're
In the
pushed
heat
to
of
the
the moment,
limit, if you're
take it
pushed
to the limit.
if you're pushed, if
To
you're
take- if you
forced
have
to
to take it to the limit.
limit,
Yeah.
then don't smash your sacred
No.
Les Paul.
That you wrote "Journey to the Center of the Moon" on,
Yeah.
or whatever it's called. Which
Ask
you
a
won't let.
roadie to pass you
to do
the
it for you.
Takamine.
Yeah. Pass the Takamine.
Pass, dust off the Takamine.
Do it with a
Pass
Japanese
it-
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do it with an American
Not
one.
an American one.
Do
Not
it
an
with a
American
Japper.
one.
Exactly.
Not an American one.
Yeah. You must.
well, after he got fucked over with the victim of love thing.
What a poor guy, hey? He writes a nice little tune called look, he's a victim.
Of
Victim of love. It's
Yeah.
it's a tender song.
Yeah,
Ripped from him.
What do you think about Glenn Fry having a solo record called "No Fun Allowed" in 1982? That says a lot. That's like, listen, man. You imagine him being like, I don't know what to call this, and then people are like, well, I mean, the 80s version, the 80s like Henley and Fry stuff's crazy because it's like they did transition into the 80s really well. They're just like, we're embracing it. You can imagine them talking to like Toto and stuff, and they're like, guys, you'll be an irrelevant joke if you don't like kind of look at what Michael McDonald's doing. He's fucking made the transition. He brought the doobies here. Like, listen, we've got Steve Perry from Journey coming down. He's going to coach you into it. He's in a karate outfit because this is
Yeah.
big now.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to need to come. You don't want to get left in the 70s, man. There's a new thing happening called the 80s, and it's fucking cool.
And it's even cokier than
It's
the
even
70s
cokier.
were. You're
Yeah.
going to fit right in.
You're going to fit right in. It's like, okay, cool.
He's like, okay, let's
Yeah,
do it.
Totally. That's the whole vibe.
Yeah.
Hall and Oates there. They're kind of jocks. Kind of
I'm trying
like
to
jocks.
I'm
Well,
trying to think
Huey
of, like,
Lewis
a
in the news.
Huey-
I
yeah.
feel like the Eagles paved the way for bands like Huey Lewis and
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff. Robert Palmer, that kind of
Palmer's
thing.
cool,
Same
man.
vibe.
Yeah.
No, Palmer's cool.
I'm trying to
Palmer's
think of
cool.
a sports franchise that's in its like last inning as a championship team.
Well, like Raiders vibe or something.
You know,
Rams,
it's kind of like
maybe.
Fry
Yeah.
and Henley, like kind of in the '80s, just like one last attempt to stay on top.
Oh, okay. It's like kind of like a Brady thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
You know?
oh, definitely. I'd say Brady in this past year has got a definite like
Eagles
Glenn Fry in
energy.
the 80s vibe.
One of the most beautiful championships ever, man.
And it's like
Nights I
kind
cried.
of. You cried?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Cried.
I
It's-
cried when he won the other one, the one no one would.
Yeah,
thought he
that's
would've
because
won.
you had
I bet
fucking $100 on it.
Oh, that helped.
I bet he hangs around with Henley. I bet they know each other. When he was throwing the Lombardi trophy across to another fucking yacht, I bet Henley was within earshot of that. On a different yacht being like, listen, I'm not wearing a mask and I think this shit's just fucking a gas.
Just Tom Brady, OJ, Henley.
Christian Bale.
There's nothing more
James
beautiful to me
Woods.
than like multiple championships, but
Oh,
to
yeah.
go for one
I
team
know.
and then do it again,
No.
it's just a beautiful
I'll
thing.
always have a reverence for
For sure. I don't-
elite elite anything, which is why I kind of like the Eagles for that reason, where it's like, you know, like they kind of did something, and it's crazy that they did it.
I know what you mean, and I also know what you mean about the Brady thing. Like, it was a weird thing because like I do hate Tom Brady, but at the same time, when I was watching that, it was like the sports fan in me couldn't shake it.
Of course,
because like if you're a true sports fan, I was watching
You're
that.
watching
and I was
history.
Like, I was like, I kind of want him to win. Like
You're watching history. You're literally watching history.
But that win also reminded me when like there's a sports now. Eh?
That's fine.
Great.
But when like Manning won his second, because basically the defense won it for him.
Well, I love, you know me, Mike.
Tampa, the defense won that game.
Mike, what are the three things I love in football? Number one, scampering quarterback.
Yeah.
Number two, a battering ram of a running back.
Okay.
And number three, when the defense wins you a championship. That's what I love.
No, that was a clinic, man. How many times was Mahomes scrambling in the backfield?
Yeah,
Back
they blitzed
every
him, right?
fucking play,
Blitzed
it
him
seemed
every
like.
single play.
Blitz, running back 20 yards. And even I give it to Mahomes,
Yeah,
trying to underhand shit.
He
and
almost, some of those diving away from a tackle, throwing it to the end zone, almost did it. I mean, it was...
It's the head and shoulders curse, right? That's the issue.
Yeah.
You know, he did those ads.
I agree with you. I think sports guys start doing that. Like, you think Brent Burns in San Jose now, he's doing all these Lay's commercials or Snickers commercials?
Yeah,
It's
he's doing Snickers
get
commercials.
on your game, buddy.
Yeah.
Fit it between his teeth. Or
Too
whatever.
much time making extra money.
Well, you know, a lot
Not
of
good.
people don't realize that, particularly in England, where we have like socialized healthcare and stuff, that quarterbacks actually make minimum wage in America. So they have to do like, you know, kind of head and shoulders commercials because they actually only make about $6 an hour being quarterbacks. So, you know,
The rest of the money goes to...
Robert Kraft. So he can hang out with Don Henley and like scour.
Don Henley, Robert Kraft, OJ.
Yeah. Christian Bale, James Woods,
James
Kelsey
Woods.
Grammer.
At OJ Strip Club in Las Vegas.
What's the deal with Grammar? Because I'm getting into Fraser right now. I'm rewatching the whole thing.
Grammer?
He's there. Hollywood Republicans.
Oh, I love it.
I
Is he?
watched.
Oh,
I
I
watched
knew I liked
during,
him.
during lockdown. I watched all of Frasier.
Yeah,
from episode 1 to the end. Watched the whole
It's
thing.
amazing.
Yeah,
I fucking love it.
I watched the whole thing. I fucking loved it.
I've seen it all too. I love
You're
it.
listening to After Hours with Impossible Way of Life. It's not. I'm listening. I could do that.
Do
Shall I
football players go to England and do like commercials for like
NFL?
Marmite and
NFL?
stuff?
Oh, you mean soccer? Or?
Football, NFL.
No, because they're not famous over there. We
Yeah,
have
but
our
maybe
own version of it. We have like soccer players doing the same Head and Shoulders commercial that Mahomes did. You know, we have like, you know, a guy like a famous goalie like dropping like
I know
a slippy
it was a
head.
bad joke.
Well, what's the? I don't even get the joke. That's how
I
bad
know
it
the
was.
joke occurred there.
What, do you think
think
this is
I
SNL or something? What's going on?
I think I was trying to say that it doesn't matter.
Go on. No, I'm interested actually.
No, I was trying to make a joke about how football might be popular in England.
If Marmite was involved,
No, I like Marmite.
me too. My
Holy
mate Marmite.
Fuck.
No, about how it doesn't matter.
No, I'm into it.
Is there a bar that I could find James Wood and Kelsey Grammer sitting
I'm
together?
going if there is.
It's like Kokomo.
That's
It's
Kokomo.
an imaginary place that maybe could
Kokomo.
be real.
Okay, so like that's the bar, and it's like Mike Love, John. That's rock and roll heaven. Hell, I think that's rock and roll hell.
Yeah.
The bar's called Rock and Roll Hell, and it's
Definitely.
in Vegas.
It's just it's just
Kelsey Grammer,
I think
James
it's a hell of a
Woods,
good time.
and they're
Call me
all just
crazy.
like. And Henley's there. The two girls from the bathtub are there.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Is that the entertainment?
Okay, then now it's got like a Shining vibe where the ghosts of all their victims
That's
are
what
hanging
I'm
around.
saying.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a movie.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Get the script out, John.
Imagine trying to pitch that. Okay, so guy, listen. You got like Tarantino's in front of you. You're like, so I got this idea for a movie.
Loved Once Upon a Time.
Hear me out. Once Upon a Time as America was a really great portrayal of like a possible other version of what could have happened if Manson hadn't ran into Sharon Tate that fateful night. I've got a version of Hollywood that is we already know ended badly with the Eagles, but I've got an idea of how it could have been even worse. and it's all of the bad stuff that we already know has happened in popular culture from about 1969 onwards, played out in a bar. So we've got Glenn Frey, Don Henley's there. We've also got Otis. We've got OJ Simpson. Otis is not there.
Yeah.
No, he's not there. OJ Simpson's there. James Woods is there.
Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft's there. Probably some patriots are there.
And they're forced to hang out to be entertained, and quote unquote,
by their victims,
with the victims of their sexual assaults and murders.
Clapton's there, and his kid doesn't recognize him.
Oh boy!
And
James, let him be.
Let him be.
He's lost his son, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's true.
You're onto some. And it's always 10 minutes past last call.
Yeah, at all times.
It's just this purgatory hell.
So you can't get another drink.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah.
That's the movie.
I think for those guys, it would be
it's more of a Scorsese movie than yeah. Okay.
Those guys know it would be they keep doing lines of coke and they just can't get high.
Or they keep doing lines of
that's
coke.
crucial.
No.
Point two.
They keep doing lines of coke, but they can't get more beer. They
Right.
get to do more coke, but they can't get a beer. They're waiting.
That sounds like my hell.
Yeah, exactly. Last time I was in that kind of rock and roll hell, trying to get a beer when I was high, and I couldn't because there was none at this festival. Someone recognized me from being in Yukon Blonde and was like, "Can you? Oh, you're in that band. I'll give you a beer. Play My Girl for me." And I just had to acoustically play the song.
They had a guitar?
They had a guitar, but no beers.
Where was this?
Doesn't matter.
And you fucking did it, too.
I needed a beer, man.
You can play that.
It's only it's in G, man. I could play Taking It Easy.
Just fucking the Jersey cow in your mouth.
Can I tell you a song?
I need a beer.
This one's definitely Patreon, by the way. At this point,
The second one?
this one's definitely Patreon.
Can I tell you a story about
This
the
might just
song-
be kind of director's cut shit that we release in 20 years when we're really famous.
Oh, this is a great episode.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never heard
absolutely.
a better one that we've
Yeah.
done. Can I tell you a story about the song Desperado by the Eagles?
I'd love to talk about it.
So one time
Let's stay on topic, right?
I was walking down the street in Victoria, and a homeless man stopped me and my friends, and he said, "Lads, may I play you a song that I've written?"
Oh, no.
And we said, "Sure." And he said, "I want just before I play it, I want you to know that maybe he'll be an Irishman for no
Okay,
reason."
for the story, yeah.
And he said, "I just want you to know that this song comes straight from my heart. And I wrote it about my life and everything I've been through. And I would just love you to listen to it and tell me what you think of it."
Mm-hmm.
And then he started, "Desperado."
Oh, no.
And we all laughed our asses off. And he laughed. It was
Oh.
one of the greatest things.
Did
This
you
guy
pay
really
him?
said.
Did you pay him for it? Because that sounds like a good
Oh,
bit.
Yeah, we took him to the strip club.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And then
I'll tell
Tiger
you about
Woods
it.
was there.
Oh, yeah, because Tiger's there, too.
Yeah.
100%.
I got a little rock and roll hell story. Remember that bar, Penny Lane?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
remember they were closing out on it, and the last night it was free beer. Oh, you just go behind the bar and pour your own beer.
That was all up at Maine there?
Yeah, May 41st.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole night, the owner just had on, I think, Desperado, Take It to the Limit, and The Long Run. And it was on repeat for about 3 hours.
I mean, that's the way to do it.
The
You're gonna
Eagles
close
really
up.
represent that kind of thing where it's like, you know what? We've had a good run,
Yeah.
and it's all fucking crumbling to
Yeah.
shit now.
Yeah.
So let's just put on those songs.
Well, that's what they are. They are
Yeah.
the end of the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, they're not the end of the 70s. They kind of represent the end of music. Period.
They represent the compromise that
Sure.
generation made.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they are. I think about this other versions of that compromise, but they're the kind of the grand one where it's it's interesting. I don't know where Fleetwood Mac fall in because obviously they're synonymous in a way because they kind of did the bloated pop kind of thing too. And Springsteen, I wonder where he's in that where it's because they're players who I think the thing is about the Eagles is it's so specifically to do with, you see music, it's like you can actually trace a course like quite easily from the Byrds to the Eagles. So it's like you've got Tin Pan Alley. Suddenly there's a new interest within popular American music, the American storybook, with confessional songwriting through Dylan that comes to LA instead of New York. It like moves to LA, and you don't have like the band and that version of like American storybook stuff. It's like kind of like the Dead are weird. Like the Dead are kind of like weird like barroom music, and then you suddenly got Neil, Joni, all this confessional music being the biggest music, Carole King, Tapestry, the biggest music in America. So it's really easily to trace that the Eagles saw this happening with Geffen. He was there, and we're like, we're going to actually make this the biggest music that's ever happened. Like, you know, these guys are doing it, and it's successful. We can see that people have a want for this music, but they're too caught up in the authenticity of it. And the sort of
they're too busy trying to be real.
Yeah, we're just gonna take this idea and we're gonna like.
They're like, this shit's a fucking joke.
Let's just do it. Yeah. Why are people
make some fucking money?
They would legitimately go to the Troubadour and like talk about the scene, like what was working, what wasn't,
exactly.
Yeah,
and plot it out. They're very deliberate.
And Geffen chose them purely based on their business acumen,
yeah.
Not at all based on their musical
like Fortune
talent. Have you
500.
seen Henley drum? It's atrocious.
Yeah,
he's not good.
Their Fortune 500 awareness. That's what they talked about at the Rainbow. They met at the Rainbow, and he was like, "I want to talk to you about stocks, Forbes, and the Fortune 500, NASDAQ," and they were like, "We know all about that shit."
And they're like, "Who's your favorite drummer?" And they're like, "I don't know.
Don't know any.
Ringo or something."
Who I don't even know.
Saw him here last night.
Yeah,
Ringo?
it's all right. We'll just get someone else to do it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you write songs? Never written one in my life.
He's got a real stiff elbow when he drums.
I know.
That?
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's really
hard to watch. He's probably number 5 on the singing drummers list.
It's interesting that like it is interesting.
What do you think of his voice?
I mean, everyone says that he's got like a whole marketing department going round. Anytime someone, for one, I honestly will be shut down for this podcast because anytime anytime someone says he's not the best rock singer of all time, they disappear. They don't exist anymore.
Like they get offed?
I think so, because he's just unilaterally understood as like, you know, like it's his voice. You know, his voice is like the sound of the 70s or something.
Raven hair, groovy lips, mama smile in your fingertips.
Exactly. You did it just there. You can probably do Fry too. He's kind of more just you.
'Cause I want to sleep with you in the desert tonight.
Yeah.
With a million stars. No, you know what the line that's so...
You belong to the city. You belong to the night. Living in a world of darkness. Beneath the neon lights. See, that's the 80s when he's kind of channeling Phil Collins.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, there's a great montage in a Miami Vice episode with that song. Sometimes cause it's Michael Mann. I mean, we're right in the wheelhouse. And sometimes I'm walking around at nighttime and I just hear that saxophone. I hear it and I just imagine I'm Don Johnson. Don Simpson. Don Johnson. And I'm walking around, and I'm just thinking about kind of.
There's another guy who's going to be in the Rock and Roll Hell.
Let me tell you,
there.
Don.
He's filming the whole thing.
He's the guy who runs the bathroom. He's like,
he's like, there's money to be made here.
Yeah, he's fine being down there.
There's a lot of talent down here.
Yeah, Charlie Rose is down there when he goes to
musical firepower down here.
Yeah, yeoman-like workers down here.
Lot of different angles down here.
Yeah.
Great arena for tension.
Lot
of different.
I came down here. I've been trying to convince Denzel to come down here for 6 weeks now. But, we got Beatty down here, and, Hugh Jackman will be down here soon, and we'll be working with him. I mean, We're talking about star power. Hollywood star power.
Yeah.
There's Hollywood star
And
power
acting
and there's
firepower.
acting firepower. They're
Yeah.
two different things.
Very different.
Yeah, they're very different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruckheimer's down there. There's some good movies being made, actually.
She wakes up,
Hitchcock might be
pours
down there.
herself a strong one. What the hell's that all about? Tequila Sunrise?
Garbage tune.
There's a bad tune. A lot of that
That's
shit.
when that's
I
when
was
my
like kind of like trying to like rip off Jimmy Buffett or something.
It's kind of.
That's when my
they're doing it.
dongle
Well, he was
started
starting to
to-
make money. Buffett
Yeah,
was
that
Buffett
was
was
the
starting
year
to
that
cash
he-
in on cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
And
well,
like,
he's the only one who can hold a candle to them
yeah,
as far as live like sales.
yeah. Living.
I'm talking
yeah.
cash money in the bank.
yeah.
cash money
Parrot head.
mentality
Buffett, do you know that he's the best selling tour
yeah.
ever.
of the past
Loyal
like
fans.
20 years?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all the merch.
100%.
Yeah, it's all the merch, but you
Yeah.
know that the Eagles were seeing that.
and you
They're
know
like,
that's
what
what
do we have to
Kokomo's
do?
about.
Yeah.
What do we have to do?
Let him.
We got a
be.
song named after a drink.
We're serving tequilas at the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
No, but it's not. It's not Tequilaville.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's just a fine line between stupid
and clever.
and clever. You know,
None more black. Too much
And more
perspective.
black. He's the victim. You see, he's the victim
He's the
of
vic-
love.
Oh, she's not the victim.
No, she's not the victim.
No, he's the
if it'd been
victim.
you tied up, everything
Oh,
would
it
have
would have been fine. Yeah.
Such a fine line.
Such
Have
a
you seen
fine
footage of them in their like 08 tour?
Spinal Tap.
Or
No,
Eagles.
Eagles.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
when they're all in like dad clothing with
Yeah,
like New
like
Balances
suits.
on?
Like Henley made them all dress up in suits, matching suits with a black tie.
Oh, kind of like they look like the hives.
The hives
or
thing,
something.
kind of. Yeah, they
like
saw that. They're,
They're like kind of
they're like, this is the thing.
This is the thing.
Fry had visions of that 80s thing. He's like,
Yeah.
we can do that again. We can
Kind of
hit
a
your
ska.
Oh, like a
Kinda. They
rocket
kinda
from the
look
crypt
like
kind
they
of
were in a
vibe.
ska band.
Like a kind of mighty boss
Specials or something?
No, they were cool, man. They were only
I
a
know
band.
they were cool,
They were
but-
cool because because Clapton was going around saying like, we can't let any of these beeps into this country anymore because like, and the specials were like, we got something to say about that. Let's do a rocket. No, he's thinking more. He was more of a mighty boss tones kind of like vibe. I think Glenn Fry. He was like, this stuff's getting big. We're gonna have to start doing two-tone.
But Bosstown's like, what, 96?
Yeah.
Got his shit together 10 years later.
Yeah.
Never too late.
Yeah.
Never too late.
Cherry Papa
No,
Daddy.
normally, famously, they wait for it all to go wrong.
Fry
and
had
then
just
do
watched
it.
Swingers.
They
What-
do.
Yeah,
That's when they
that's what
saw
they
the
do.
demand. They were like, "There's
They're
money
like,
to be
we'll
made here."
do new metal. Let's just wait for it all to end, and then we'll do our version.
Well, it's like what you guys are saying about how these other bands, they don't know how to hack it in the corporate world of
Yes,
music.
exactly.
And so they wait
Yeah.
until they've crumbled due to whatever it is, drug problems, marriage problems,
Yeah.
whatever.
And then they
pounce.
short them.
Yeah.
They
The
it's
Eagles
like
pounce.
shorting.
So they
basically.
So he saw this. He's like, okay, I'm seeing a trend here. Mighty Boss Tones, Cherry Pop
Rocket
and
from the
Daddies,
Crypt.
Brian Setzer Orchestra.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm gonna wait 10 years, and then I'm gonna bring this back and make
Yeah.
a lot of money off this.
Yeah.
Did it work out?
They look mighty stupid.
mighty stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that hell freeze is over. I know because when I watched the Eagles documentary,
That shit's impossible.
what's it
to
called?
watch.
The documentary,
I don't know.
like One More for the Road or some shit.
The long run.
Yeah.
So
the long run.
first,
Which Henley wrote about them having like staying
it's actually.
power.
May I say something, guys? May I say something?
Yeah.
It's almost like this podcast tonight in
Yeah.
that the first half was very interesting. It had a lot of worthwhile material.
And this is just
And then the
coked up.
second half, I wished I'd gotten those 2 hours back of my life.
I think this is like the cokiest podcast of all time. Honestly. The second half of this, part 2, director's cut. The stuff that the studio didn't want you to see or hear.
Imagine the albums that could have been made.
Well, Greatest Hits 1 is kind of mellow.
Yeah,
Greatest Hits 2's got all the coke vibe.
that's
on
what I'm
it.
saying.
I like them when they go like kind of unhinged. Like
Yeah.
I'm genuinely like Life in the Fast Lane's a fucking banging too.
Of course.
Yeah. Like that.
I mean, I like the riff.
Except No Substitutes.
Yeah. I'll take that.
I love
stuff.
this, like how delusional the story. Like it's like what I'm talking about. It's like you don't need to think. It's like how on the nose the stories are.
Yeah.
The Glenn Fry's like, you know what? He's like, I was just in a car with this drug dealer, and I was just fucking ripping down Sunset.
Yeah.
And, he's going like 100 miles an hour down Sunset, like suitcase of Coke in the back. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, man, life in the fast lane.
Yeah. That's life. Like, that's Lion Eyes. He's like, me and Don were like hanging out at like the Rainbow, and we saw a hot girl with like a fat older guy, and we were like, she's fucking us tonight. Like that's like she's gonna that's just like that's what she's doing. But also like we're that guy because they're probably bloated and old at this point themselves. It's like that's like and like somehow it's her fault because she's the one who's lying. But also like we're lying too because we're her. It's very complicated, and it's just like let's just take down as many. It's like a lot of like let's just take down as many. It's pretty negative music actually.
For sure.
It's pretty negative.
Life of the fast lane shit. Like, have you heard how they wrote, like, Fry wrote Hotel California? It was like he storyboarded it. It was like
Don Simpson style.
Yeah, he
dude.
did, dude. And it was
So
like, it
tell me
was
about how
kind
you,
of had more of a science fiction vibe to it. It was
100%. Yeah.
kind of like 70s meets the Twilight Zone
Yeah,
in a
This is all
hotel.
becoming. I'm really glad we did 2 hours because it's really becoming clear to me now
Yeah.
what happened.
It
Yeah, they
took
were
a while for you to
storyboarding
come
it.
around. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you did.
You know what else is that that documentary? The thing is, it's so funny that they do the whole thing. They span all these albums, all these songs, all this career developments, and then the second one basically only focuses in on the Hell Freezes Over tour.
brutal.
There's nothing else to
brutal.
it. And then I thought about it, and I figured, I guess it's because they didn't even make an album between
No.
the
No,
long.
because they said hell would have to freeze over for them to fucking be in a room together
you
again.
mean like Timothy B. Schmidt? You get the one album.
He got
and
that-
you're stuck with these guys for 40 years.
B. Schmidt.
You know what I
though.
mean? Like-
yeah, but it's interesting. It's a bit like Some Kind of Monster, like the Metallica thing, because it's like
I was thinking that too.
because they bring him in because they literally have no songwriters in the band, and they need Randy Meisner's exact voice, so they just repoach from Poco. They're just
Yeah.
like, we'll just take the bassist you replaced Meisner with. We'll just take him too.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he writes the hit on the long run.
Yeah.
Similar to the bass player from like
Biohazard?
Biohazard, who Metallica took, or no?
Oh, yeah,
Suicidal
yeah.
Tendencies.
Okay, sorry.
Wrong wheelhouse, buddy.
But it's like
I'm thinking of Savage Animal here, dude.
Biohazard, you're thinking of the supergroup that Ted Nugent had on
Yeah, Savage Animal.
no, it was called
he's at
Demo
the bar.
Crazy.
He's there.
Damocracy.
Democracy. That's
He's there.
Original name was Savage Animal.
okay, all right.
Nugent, the Nuge is with Kelsey Grammer in that bar.
Oh,
He's there for sure.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
That's where Mike wants to be partying right now.
I'd
In
go
a
there,
second.
honestly.
But also, what about the fact that they made Hotel California in 1974?
76.
Whatever.
Maybe 77, maybe.
I don't give a shit.
All that stuff.
Best selling album of all time, and then 4 years later they made another album.
Because they made so much money that
Well, they toured it for probably 2 years straight.
and the greatest hits came out like a week
I think Long
later.
Run was like 79.
Listen, man, those guys had more money. There was no reason for them to make the Long Run anyway. It's not like they were going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Like that was them making music purely for the fun of making music, and that's what it turned out like.
You looking up Hotel California?
Yeah, 76, and then the Long Run is 79. All right.
All right.
I guess they were touring. I guess they had like two of the.
Look at Boston,
I
dude.
guess they
First
had
album,
two of
put
the
another one
best-selling
for-
albums ever made.
In like
In
And also, they got to be like, what's Jackson up to?
Yeah.
What's JD up to?
we need songwriters.
Seeger, I'm on the phone. I got you on the phone. Come on, give me a song.
I'll call my fucking kid Deacon if you write a song for us,
Yeah.
Walter. Like, you know what I mean? I'll do whatever. Donald, get Fagan on the line. We need writers here. we're going to a place, and then they got it's like, what happened? They get out the long run in 1979, and it's too late. They're an irrelevant joke because the 80s are coming, and they start hanging out with Steve Perry, and Tom Petty's like, I'm making a transition here, and we're going to the 80s. It's a big thing. A lot of the ones who survived it, like so many didn't. Neil, Dylan, they didn't survive the 80s, and all these other guys were like, okay, we gotta figure this out. Tom Petty starts putting Lindrums on his shit.
So the Eagles just took the 80s off.
No,
that was their method.
they
That was their way to survive.
They got into it, man, but in solo, like they went
solo.
Players strike.
Dude, they got really into it.
Yeah.
They all went solo. You know?
Well, they
Fry
just said,
and
tell me
Henley-
where to put the vocal.
That's exactly what they'd done their
That's
whole
what
career.
Yeah.
They didn't change. They didn't care. Henley just was like, I'll come in for 15 minutes
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
put it down. I'll take.
They're like, look at what
nine-
Michael McDonald does.
Yeah.
He like SC,
Yeah, no, it's the
SCTV
SC
style.
it's that skit.
He's going around
Yeah.
studio to studio. The guy's making $1 million a day just singing on anything.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
You
You,
can
don't
do
have
it.
to work.
You don't have to even. You don't have to do anything.
Just get a fast car.
Yeah. Just get
That's
a
it.
get a Tesla.
Yeah.
Do it. You're fine.
You know, Grant.
Glenn
who-
Fry kind of went on a Huey Lewis tip a bit more.
Well,
he kind of was
I'd
like,
say vice versa, buddy. But
okay, you think that they saw what he was doing? What he
I think
could
there'd
have
be
been
no
in the
no
80s.
Huey Lewis without Glenn Fry. They look similar, even.
They definitely look
Similar hairstyle,
in
similar
the 80s,
build.
Yeah,
He really took that kind of sports corporate model
yeah,
and ran with it.
yeah. Sports corporate for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
with
what
a
it is.
little bit of like Michael Douglas Wall
Bit of
Street
soul,
energy.
but like weirdly mixed in some soul.
Yeah, you know they played on Elvis Costello's first record. Is Huey Lewis the band? And they
My Aim Is True.
they're the backing band on My Aim Is True because they were like not a band yet, and it was just they were just like session dudes.
English?
Yeah, no, they were in England at the time, and they called Clover, and they became Huey Lewis in the News.
Kind of like all those American football players who do commercials over there.
They're all there doing commercials for some
I'm
reason.
bringing back,
still
like,
the bit
My
that didn't
fried
work.
egg moment.
You're bringing back the bit that
I'm
makes
bringing
no
back
sense.
my egg on face moment
You're
to
like,
try
okay,
to
sure.
salvage
You want to
it.
try the bit again?
No,
let's
there's
try
no
it.
bit.
No, let's try
There's
it.
no bit.
Oh, okay.
That was why I was trying to. As you were like, "What were you trying to say?" I was trying to come up with something and I couldn't.
Okay.
There was no bit to begin with.
I mean, a lot of American footballers go and
To
play
Japan,
in
they
the
do this,
European leagues before they, or like with CFL, they go over to Europe and play in like kind of farm. They get farmed out. Maybe there's a joke in that somewhere.
I'll write some stuff.
So like these guys like are going over and like they're like not doing Head and Shoulders.
I want you to write
commercials.
the
They're
joke. Marmite.
They're doing like they're putting Marmite in their hair or something
I don't know.
instead.
God damn it, we're back to square one.
You brought it up, man.
I'm from my just so
Where are you
everybody
from?
knows.
Where are you from?
My father's from Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
so I have a lot of experience with Marmite, and I enjoy it.
Okay, that's
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Glad we got that covered.
Awkward silence.
These people are just gonna have to wait.
What about the
Cobain.
fact that Steven Stills showed up at the end of the last waltz? There was a jam,
That was a jam.
and somehow not in the show,
Yeah.
but he showed up at the end. Mike and I were talking about this.
But okay.
And he didn't even need a guitar. He was air guitaring up there.
He was air guitaring, but like he was air guitaring because he was staring down some stage side roadie
Yeah.
and being like air guitaring and being like, "Is this a fucking joke? Do you know who I am? Bring me one of Robbie Robertson's guitars now."
And it best not be a Takamine.
Best not be a Takamine because I don't plan on smashing this thing. I plan on smashing this fucking solo right now.
Yeah. Exactly. Blues hammer.
Yeah. Actually,
Hard
bring me
blues.
Neil's
Well,
guitar.
Might
Yeah.
be the worst jam ever.
All of those
Blues
blues
jam.
jams are bad.
Have you
Was it
watched that?
blues? I don't even remember
They're
what it
all
sounds
I don't
bad.
like.
know what it is, but it's like, what did you say, Mike? It's like, we got a Beatle here now.
Yeah, there's a Beatle here.
Ringo's here. We got a Stone, Ron Wood.
Yeah. For some reason.
So, like, let's get back out there 3 hours later. The punch bowl's empty backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get out there.
Yeah.
There's still 55 people in the crowd.
Like mopping up the turkey.
It's kind of like when you two went to Reno. It's kind of you two in Reno.
What?
That's
what
what it
happened?
is.
What happened with them?
Well, it's like,
Playing roulette till like
you're
6
at the
in the
roulette
morning.
table.
Oh,
Go
you
around.
two? I thought you meant the band.
No,
U2.
no, like literally you two.
Christ.
It's like literally, it's just you two in Reno.
You said-
Your
It's like-
head at.
I was like, well, man, it's so much free association in this crowd. I thought you were like,
Yeah.
it's just like you two in Reno.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to hear about
Yeah,
that.
when you guys played
that-
roulette with you two.
You see
in
that
Reno.
show, you two, in Reno? It was great.
You guys
What
are
are
out
you
there
doing?
feeling yourselves, and you look around. There's no one left. It's 6
No one
a.m. and you're
Yeah.
blues jamming with Stephen Stills and Neil Young. Ringo's there. Ron
Somehow
Wood's there.
Neil and Stills wind up dueling again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that. Even that, it's like 77 or whatever.
Well, it's a kind
75.
of like purgatory thing. They're like
It
they're
is.
like doomed for life
Yeah.
to always be jammy but never settle it.
It's never been settled.
But
It
you
get-
know, it kind of
it was
settled a long
settled.
time ago.
it was-
Except on the Doom Tour, nobody wins. It's so bad. They're both, you watch that, it's terrible. No one's good at guitar.
no one's good.
Because no one can hear anything.
No one knows what's going on. They're all just watching the Nixon like prosecution.
It doesn't matter. The whole crowd's bombed out of their minds anyway.
That's the mid 70s. That's why the Eagles are massive.
That's why Clapton was so big.
Yeah.
Because
Everyone,
He would
who's,
just get
everyone
so-
who's not dead is just paranoid.
he would
and
play
doesn't want to
laying
think
on the
anymore.
ground, bombed out drunk. He used to say,
Well,
I'd lay on the ground on the stage and play fucking solos so bombed out drunk. And the crowd wouldn't care because they were drunker than I was.
You think that people? Do you think he paid people to graffiti Clapton as God,
I think
as
he
like an
did it
early
personally
marketing
himself.
strategy?
I think he did it.
and was like, "I'm the first person to say that."
He probably did it himself, I think.
You think so? It's possible.
Or paid people, yeah.
Yeah, he probably paid people.
No, people think
where's that shot? Where's that picture from? How early is it?
1823. No, I don't know.
60, like cream.
Was that when he was
Cream
pre-cream?
scene.
Or?
No, he's pre-creaming. No, he
Yeah.
could be creaming by that point. He might be creaming. I
That
don't
was
know.
that was
Not Blues Breakers?
That was before he had
Not
sex
Blues
with
Breakers.
Jack Bruce and wrote "Sunshine of Your Love."
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
They were doing that.
Yeah,
100%. Ginger Baker. That's why he left to Africa. He was like, I'm just purely in a rhythm.
let me know when it's done.
Yeah.
Let me know when the album's done.
I'm gonna go play with.
Still down there at 73.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
play with Fela. It's
I
fine.
like the story of Baker when he like just shows up to like Blind Faith. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm the drummer.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I shouldn't say it. Fuck. Is this Patreon or what?
This is probably
Assume it's
this,
not.
This one.
I hold my tongue.
Just beep it out, man. Beep it out with your own mouth. If he
Anyway.
says something outrageous.
It's not outrageous.
No.
But Blind Faith, that's a kind of a part of his career I often forget about.
What, Clapton or Baker?
Clapton.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
But
he
I
had to
do
settle
like
with
that
after
album.
the band kicked him out.
That's like a Traffic partial lineage thing.
Yeah, it's like the band
but
before
I do
Traffic.
like Steve
Winwood?
Winwood.
Tubular Bells.
Clapton went to Woodstock and he's like, because he was so big at that point, he's like, these guys will let me in the band.
Yeah.
The band.
Yeah.
The band.
Oh, yeah,
And
no,
he,
and they-
he-
Oh,
and he
yeah.
realized
I'm-
right away that it was such a cliquey, tight knit
Yeah.
group. He's like, they'll never let me in this.
It's the same with Van Morrison. He did the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why they're both fucking making anti-lockdown shit together. Because
Yes.
because Robbie
That's the
Robertson
only
wouldn't
reason,
let. That's
you're
the
right.
only thing that keeps them together is that they got like they're resentful still about not being allowed to live in Big Pink.
They wanted to be Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
like with the band in
Yeah.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
And that's why they both like.
So they both have this kind of Freudian style resentment to not being allowed in communities. So they're like, this lockdown is just another example of people not letting us in Big Pink.
Yeah.
It is that. I mean,
true.
it's
It is
100%
true.
true. No, it's been proven. So that's what it is.
And they're coming up with some great songs together.
yeah.
I'll let you fill in the blanks on that one after what we've been talking about. They've been writing some great songs together.
When was Van Morris's last album? It's just good to
Moondance.
hear him make some new material.
Honestly, I've said this before on the podcast. You know, say what you will about his anti-lockdown material. His voice sounds great.
Yeah, he sounds good.
He can still sing, man. The
you know,
pipes are still alive.
you know what might be part of
Clapton,
it?
on the other hand.
Well, he only listens to himself, Van Morrison, right? Famously, he's like, people ask him who his favorite artists are. He's like, me. I've never listened to any of the music. I just listen to my own music.
That's
He's
why
like,
he went to Woodstock to hang out with the band.
he's just into his.
He
He's,
had a
just
hunch.
he's into his own music. He's like, his favorite record is Astral Weeks. His second favorite record of all time is Moondance. He's never he likes TB Sheets. Big
He
fan.
still likes that one, yeah.
Yeah, he just listens to his own music. You know, no one can even.
That's a
prove-
good method to get yourself hyped.
He's
on your
method.
Own, on
He's
your
method.
own. On
Yeah,
your
for sure.
own.
No, he's method. Is that what you meant?
It's true
to
though.
say?
Get yourself hyped on your own stuff. Just listen to your
Yeah.
own.
High on your own supply.
I remember one time I was down in LA with Luke Backwin
Heard of him.
mixing my new album.
Yeah.
And he took me to this gym that he goes to called the Dream Center. It's kind of like a Mormon. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but it was a good
It's
deal.
L.A.
It's LA, so it was kind
Forget
of
it.
was kind of a good
It's
deal, but there's
Chinatown.
definitely a bit of a religious element to it,
Yeah.
hence the
Yeah.
discount. So he's like, "Yeah, come down with me to the Dream Center," you know. And I was like, "You go in, and the guy's like, "Hi, welcome to the Dream Center."
Yeah.
And he told me, I was like, "Oh yeah, I just want to work out for the day," and he's like, "Sure, no problem. We won't charge you a thing, but just give us all your information right now, your email and everything." But now I get these kind of Dream Center sort of Christian type emails.
Really?
Sounds
But
good.
but I went in and worked out with Luke, and I was, Dan Horn would be sending me these mixes of this Johnny Payne stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I was out there just
Feeling yourself.
pumping, like, dude, like listening to and Luke, and then afterwards Luke was like, "What are you listening to while you were pumping, dude?" And I was like, honestly, like just these new mixes from Dan Horn, and he was like, yeah, he's like, your own fresh new tracks. He's like, that'll get you hyped.
Dig yourself. Dig yourself, man.
I was like, 100%, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, I was hyped up, man,
Yeah.
listening to that.
See, that would fill me with just fear.
Still haven't squatted, that amount.
Yeah. I can't wait
Bar
for
was
this. I
set.
can't wait for our community to hear those songs, man. Our rock and roll aficionado community at the Impossible Way of Life to hear that stuff you were working on.
Yeah,
Your
that-
kind of anti-lockdown record that you made.
It is a bit, yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of lyrical. And I'm proud to say I had no songwriting partners on that. So
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast, and Don Henley's having sex with children with billions of dollars in his bank account. He's probably got bitcoins.
Steve still doing that stuff?
Of course he is. Once you do it, there's no going back.
I've been waiting for him to get marched out with the cuffs on him and Geffen, because there was some.
Geffen's fine. It's pink dollar, man. Like he's a pink dollar guy. So like he's got like whatever he's done, even if he's killed people, he can appeal to identity politics to get off at this point in his career. But he's also like, they're so massive, these guys, right? Like that they're untouchable. They're untouchable. Who knows what they are? They probably own an island. Probably Richard Branson right now.
Maybe there's like a place before they go to rock and roll hell where there's like a purgatory where they all get marched out and go to jail. Clapton,
Kind of a gulag
Henley,
vibe?
everybody. And then they go to the jail and they kind of start like a sort of Blues Brothers kind of prison band.
Oh,
And that would be like a big,
Or like, oh, brother,
in
where
their-
art thou kind of vibe as well. A
Yeah.
little bit of an Appalachian thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind
And
of
that would be cool. It's
Appalachian.
kind of a Johnny Cash sort of at Folsom.
I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But just
100%.
round them all up,
Yeah,
lock them up, and then let them create together.
but they need Felder if they're doing like a bluegrass kind of Appalachian thing.
I thought he was a prog guy. Oh no, that's Meisner. No, that's Here we
Bernie.
go again.
Yeah,
Bernie Taupin?
Sanders? Mac?
We tried this the other night with the birds. You heard it. We don't know what's going on. We were saying if Mike had been there.
My heart just goes out to Don because he's out there with that auto-tune
Henley?
thing. It's just fucked.
Well, yeah, actually, no, Felder. No,
Why is there 2 Dons?
there's like 6 we're talking about.
Don
Don
Felder.
Simpson, Don Felder, Don Henley.
Donald Duck?
Because he does casino shows with the guy from Styx.
Oh.
So he'll come out
The
and
singer?
He'll come. Yeah.
So
he'll come
that's
out-
why the prog bit. That's why the prog thing.
No, that's
No.
Bernie.
Okay.
I'm not sure what
Because
Bernie's
Styx
up to.
is prog.
So Felder,
big-
he
well,
comes
Arena
out.
Prague, I guess.
What do they
Arena
do
Prague,
at the,
yeah.
what do they
Slight
do at the
schism there.
casino?
That's what how he makes his money now. He
But
can't.
with the auto tune, what do you mean though?
He sings live and he's got I don't know. You
No,
probably
you
know. Like,
100% know. Yeah, I
but
have
it's
it.
like he'll sing in the mic, but it'll auto
correct
correct
live.
him live.
Yeah.
No.
Is it noticeable?
Oh yeah, it's
Kind of like Mike Love doing
Like
the
when the Beach
Capitol
Boys did
Hill
that
thing?
White House thing?
probably, dude. I don't
Do it again with Uncle
Of course,
Jesse.
yeah. Do
Oh.
it again 4 more years.
Yeah, with Uncle Jesse, Mike
Let's
Love,
get
and
together and do it again.
Sugar
and
Ray, the Sugar Ray
again,
guy.
and again and again and again and again.
have you ever seen that video?
I think
We'll
maybe.
probably watch that before we close up
You need
tonight.
to see it.
I know you've not got any honey.
And it's one of those things like Clockwork Orange, where like you have the thing in your eyes.
Yeah.
You'll be trying to look away, and you can't.
I'm
It's
I
kinda-
love that shit.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm all about
yeah.
it.
You say that now.
Try me.
I
Where are
love
we
it.
at here?
Let's see.
What
Okay.
time is it?
I got plenty. I'm just wondering where to go next. Is all.
Where? I mean, if
I
you
gotta
want.
be up at 5 in the morning.
Well, it's 9:30,
Yeah.
and if you want to make this a full episode, well, let's have a look where we're at. This is all in
I
it.
got different hours now, man.
I don't know. Do like a couple more minutes. We'll probably get there.
It's great.
No, let's do a couple more minutes. Like I'm literally
I know, yeah.
2 or 3 more minutes. Let's.
We're already there.
2 or 3 more minutes, man. We just
Well-
choose something to talk about. It doesn't have to be anything to do with the Eagles. These people, the patrons
They
love
don't
this
give a
stuff,
shit, do
man.
they?
Love it, and I love them, but they love it. They love it when we just go off piste. You know,
Yeah. Well, the thing is about the Eagles.
give me anything. I'll go. I've got like 3
I
minutes.
feel like there's more to say about these.
We've not said
fucking
anything
guys,
about the Eagles. That's for damn sure.
Well, I'll leave that to you because I don't know anything about them really.
Just give me anything.
Uh
Sports, hockey,
oh,
classic rock, Joe Walsh, anything. I talked about Joe
I've
Walsh,
been listening to a lot of Joe Walsh lately, but
James Gang stuff.
no.
I mean, let's talk
solo-
about the fact
solo
that
pre-Eagles.
let's talk about the fact that
Meadows.
that Joe Walsh was a really really wicked songwriter and guitar player and respected guy.
Yeah,
Perfect for the Eagles to poach.
Yeah, James Gang ruled. The solo stuff rules. Life of Illusion.
yeah, but they are really earnest in the documentary about that. Like they say like they were like even as older people they're like we needed him. Like it's like acquisition stuff. It's like it's like when you're like okay like we're short like a solid center like you know I don't know your hockey
Center
analogies.
fielder.
We need a guy who can like bring it. He brings what they didn't have, and they were right. They like and they don't. There's nothing in the documentaries where they're like, "And he's a piece of shit." They're literally like, he made the Eagles what they are. Like we needed like that like true sleaze rock and roll.
I mean, I think
guitar
that's
vibes.
true. I think in that they gambled and won in that
Oh,
department.
That's a great acquisition.
I mean,
Walsh is a
Hotel
great one.
it's kind of
California
like your
solo.
favorite player going to the team you hate.
Sure.
Hotel California solo is the perfect example because there's the part it's Felder solo,
Yeah.
but the Joe Walsh parts you know are Joe Walsh.
Oh yeah.
He's got his
Well,
signature.
have you watched like Joe Walsh did a special and like just before he joined the Eagles, and it's like Felder joins him and he just plays sideman perfectly. Like he doesn't like rip any solos,
No.
but they're just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we got in the Eagles.
But you know that Joe Walsh
they're not
licks.
sparring.
No.
There's a
They work
mutual
really well together.
respect.
Mutual
There's a
respect, but you know the Joe Walsh licks in that solo,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Joe.
Great
Yeah.
solo. You know what? Great solo. I'll give them that.
Oh, it's Joe fucking Walsh.
No, I'll give them that. That
Felder,
Hotel
man.
California solo, I do like it, the whole thing.
The song rules, man.
Yeah, it's all right.
The song rules. It's a great song.
I can't listen to it anymore. Like, it's long.
Yeah, I know, but you like Paul Simon, so what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Oh, Paul Simon's good.
Exactly. That's not. I'm not. It's not. I'm not. There's not a criticism.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Hotel California is. I like that. I like it's sleazy as fuck.
I loved it. I'm ashamed to say or not that I had the CD and I listened to it a ton. I just mean, like, I'm not gonna ever look. I'm not
Explain
gonna
yourself.
throw on Hotel California and listen to the whole song now. Like, I'm not gonna put it on and listen to the first 5 minutes.
I probably
to
would.
wait.
You don't
for the
want
solo.
that story triptych?
Exactly, and
I
it is
mean,
a
what the
triptych.
No, but
it's
I could-
basically a
it's a good-
Sigmund Freud painting.
Yeah.
It's a it's a Francis Bacon kind of vibe. That's what I'm talking about. Certainly not a Sigmund Freud painting because he never painted nothing.
But, I could
Lucian
listen.
did.
I could listen to "You Can Call Me Al."
Exactly. That's what I mean. You're just different strokes
See,
for
I
different
can't.
folks. Yeah, I can't
listen to
either.
that. Well, there you
Certainly
go.
not.
There you go.
Fuck that song.
I'll go Hotel California over anything off Graceland any day of the week.
Really?
100%. I would go Hotel
Wow.
California over Graceland.
What's that Meisner song I was playing before we started? Try to Love Again? Whew.
This is shocking
He might have written
revelation,
that. I'm
James.
pretty sure he did, but
I don't know. I think Graceland's a hate crime.
you think he used those choirs?
100%.
Yeah, you might have a point.
I like the video for You Can Call Me Al, though.
I don't know enough about that, but I know that a lot of those musicians who played on Grace that have come out and said they had a great time and loved
What, the
experience.
African Music Bombata guys?
The guys who played on the record in Africa.
I'm sure they had a great time.
They
but
came
also,
out and said they loved him.
you know
and they
what
had
my
a great
issue
time.
with Graceland is? The drum sounds. 80s.
You want to talk about the issues I have with Eagles tones right now?
You got any problems with the
sounding album,
tones
dude.
on fucking
Like the
Hotel
guitar.
California?
I
Name a problem with them. Tell me what's wrong with the tones on Hotel California. I'd love to know. It's one of the best sounding records of all time. That song
One
sounds
of the best
good.
sounding records of all
Dude,
time.
that song rules, man. It's
I'm
a
getting
good
a
song.
lot- there's a lot of
those
s-
guitars. I was listening to that walking over here, and I was like, I've never made a guitar sound that good. I'm not even joking.
Love the solos.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
they're like they sound great. Yeah, vocals sound good.
It's
drums
a good song.
sound good.
It's a good song.
Yeah,
One of the best sounding records of all time. I don't know if I go that far, but I like it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But that song sounds good. And I've played it in the fucking Good Time Boys. Man, it's a thrill to play that.
Well, they
tune.
do a medley with
Moon
Age
Age
Daydream,
Daydream, yeah, and it works real
works
good.
really well.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, the Good Time Boys, Luke and them, they do, Moon Age Daydream, oh yeah, and they're boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Like they do the Bowie solo,
Yeah.
and then it fuses into the Hotel California solo.
it rules.
And it's really cool.
It's good.
Guitar harmony and everything.
I like it.
Those
Yeah.
guys are, and you know what? I'll tell you because they're our friends and certainly yours. But like Luke and Thomas, major guitar players, major players. Like
Definite
that
players.
stuff's tough to play. Like
Oh,
that's
they're
the
players.
thing. Like the guitars on Hotel California are like that's ripping stuff. That's real. That's real stuff. That-
No doubt in my
Adult
mind that
dosh.
Felder,
an adult dosh.
no doubt in my mind that Felder and Joe Walsh can play guitar.
Oh yeah,
Would never say that.
yeah.
I'm more just speaking to the kind of there's a certain ambiance that Hanley and Fry and all the boys bring to a recording
Yeah.
that I can't. It upsets me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It disturbs me.
It does disturb
It
me.
does disturb, but I'm a professional.
I'm afraid it won't affect my
Won't affect
performance
my
on this
performance
podcast,
on this
as
podcast.
you've seen.
If you keep folding,
If you keep
performing,
prodding me,
prodding,
and then trod upon me about this, then he'll get something out of me that he won't like.
but I'll keep prodding.
What the fuck is
Perhaps,
this?
perhaps
Folding.
we could change the choreography so that they don't trod upon it.
It's a reverse blues thing. You're doing the reverse
No, I was
blues,
doing-
George Harrison.
Remember the bass player in Spinal Tap when they're talking about the Stonehenge?
Well, he's the lukewarm water.
And he says, well, perhaps we could change the choreography so that the dwarves don't trod upon it.
You bring out a 2-inch from the sky. I'm gonna have to rewatch
That
it.
was in danger of being trod upon by a dwarf. Well, perhaps we could change the choreography.
There you go.
not to
Let's
trod
let
it.
this guy go back to work, man.
All right.